be to discuss the status report of adhoc committee on investigations on the Londiani accident victims fundraising. This Gazette notice is dated 8th August 2023 and signed by myself, Patrick Mutai. So, honorable members, we now are ready to proceed. And clerk, order of business of today.
Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I have one communication to make. Of course, this is regards to the devolution conference that shall be held in Eldoret this week. Thereafter, honorable members, the other week, of course, we shall be heading to Nakuru for our county assembly games. So, honorable members, leader of majority, please note that, and so that you can communicate accordingly to the honorable members for preparation. Clerk, next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next.
Order number 5, papers.
Next.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next.
Order number 7, statements.
Next. Sorry, honorable members, where the chairperson of the ad hoc committee, please proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I wish to give a notice of motion that this House adopts the report by the Londiani accident ad hoc committee on the investigation of Londiani accident victims fundraising held on the 4th of July 2023. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk, next order.
Order number 7, statements.
And clerk, next order.
Order number 8, motion by Honorable Moses Rotich.
Honorable Dr. Moses Rotich, please table your motion.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I wish to move a motion that this House adopts the report by the Londiani Accident Ad hoc Committee on the investigation of the Londiani accident victims fundraising held on the 4th of July 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, report on the investigation of the Londiani victims fundraising held on the 4th of July 2023, submitted to the Kericho County Standing Order and pursuant to Section 14. Mr. Speaker, this report comprise of the list of abbreviations that I don't wish to go through it. The table of contents, the list of abbreviation, Mr. Speaker. 1.0 is the introduction. 1.1, the mandate of the ad hoc committee on the Londiani accident. 1.2, Mr. Speaker, membership of Londiani accident ad hoc committee. 2.0, the legal framework on the Londiani ad hoc committee. 3.0, ad hoc committee methodology and strategy. 4.0, field visits. Thank you so much. 4.0.
Order, honorable members, of course, with the guidance of the chair, is it? You want to read from your page the whole report, is it? And that. Okay. The honorable chair, you can, chairman, you can proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for your guidance. That is the table of contents, Mr. Speaker. I would wish to go straight to the introduction. The County Assembly of Kericho is established pursuant to the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and given a mandate under Article 185, further Article 195 give powers to the County Assembly to source for information on any matter within its mandate and jurisdiction. The adhoc committee is established pursuant to Article 14 1B of the County Government Act 2012 and the Kericho County Assembly Standing Orders 207. On the mandate of the committee, Mr. Speaker, mandate of the adhoc committee on the Londiani accident. On the 1st of August 2023, the County Assembly passed a resolution to establish an adhoc committee to investigate on Londiani fundraiser meant to assist the victims of the accident that happened on the 4th day of July 2023. The terms of reference of the committee are to report to this House upon investigation on the following issues. On the motion that was raised by Honorable Vincent Korir. One, the exact number of people who had passed on as a result of the Londiani accident and mock charges by the deceased person. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the exact number of casualties as a result of Londiani accident and the cost incurred per patient. Number three, the total amount of money raised as the fundraiser for the Londiani accident victims. The amount to be waived by the County Government of Kericho for the health services rendered to the said victims, both casualties and the deceased. Report on breakdown of how the fund raised was distributed to the casualties and the families of the deceased, including their places of residence. Composition of the committee, if any, formed for the utilization and distribution of the said funds in terms of reference for the said committee. How many vehicles were used for the facilitation to support the victims, the departments they were drawn from, and the fuel cost used per vehicle. Number 8, Mr. Speaker, what properties were destroyed during the accident and how much was paid out from the fund as compensation. Number 9, Mr. Speaker, report on breakdown on utilization of the said funds for activities other than the compensation to the casualties and the families of deceased. Committee membership, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Moses Rotich being the chair, 2, Honorable Irene Langat as the vice chair, 3, Honorable Vincent Korir, member, 4, Honorable Philip Prono, who is leader of majority as a member, Honorable Eric B, member, Honorable Gilbert Ngetich, member, Honorable Matthew Korir, member, Honorable Cheriot Bates, member, Honorable Albert Kipkoech, member, Honorable Dora Keino, member, Honorable Gabriela Chepngeno, member, Honorable Masigi Konyo, member, Honorable David Maritim, member, number 14, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Richard Langat, member, and 15, Honorable Peter Kemoy, member. 2-0, the legal framework on the Londiani Adhoc Committee, the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, Article 185, stipulates that, 1, the legislative authority of the county is vested in and exercised by its county assembly. 2, a county assembly may make any laws that are necessary for or incidental to the effective performance of the functions and the exercise of the powers of the county government under the 4th schedule. 3, a county assembly, while respecting the principle of separation of powers, may exercise oversight and county executive committee and any other county executive organs. 4, county assembly may receive and approve plans and policies for A, the management and the exploitation of the county resources, B, the the development and management of its infrastructure and institution. Mr. Speaker, Article 195 of the Kenyan Constitution 2010 stipulates that a county assembly or its committee has powers to summon any person, Mr. Speaker, to appear before it for the purpose of giving evidence or providing information. For the purpose of Clause 1, an assembly has the same powers as the High Court. And I wish to read again, Mr. Speaker, Article 195 of the Kenyan Constitution stipulates that a county assembly or any of its committees has powers to summon any person to appear before it.
Order, honorable members, let us consult in our law tones so that we can give an opportunity to the chairperson to present, to table his report. And honorable members, you know very well that we are also live in our various Facebook pages, and therefore please let's adhere to the guidelines of the assembly. Proceed, chairperson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to quote Article 195 of the Kenyan Constitution that stipulates that a county assembly or any of its committees has powers to summon any person to appear before it for purposes of giving evidence or providing information. 2, Mr. Speaker, for the purposes of Clause 1, an assembly has the same powers as the High Court to A, enforce the attendance of witnesses and examine them on oath and affirmation or otherwise. B, compel the production of documents. C, issue a commission or request to examine witnesses abroad. Article 10, Mr. Speaker, the national values and principles of governance in this article bind all state organs, state officers, public officers, and all persons whenever any of them under A applies or interprets its constitution, B enacts, applies, or interprets any law, or makes or implement public policy decisions. That is C. 2, the national values and principles of governance include A, patriotism, national unity, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, democracy, and participation of the people. B, Mr. Speaker, human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, and protection of the marginalized. Mr. Speaker, on C, good governance, integrity, transparency, and accountability, and the state and religion. Article 232, Mr. Speaker, 1, the values and principles of public service include A, high standards of professional ethics. B, efficient, effective, and economic use of resources. Mr. Speaker, C, responsive, prompt, effective, impartial, and equitable provision of services. D, Mr. Speaker, involvement of the people in the process of policy making. E, accountability for administrative acts. Mr. Speaker, transparency and provision to the public of timely, accurate information, that is on F. G, subject to paragraph H and I for fair competition and merit. On the Public Finance and Management Act of 2012, responsibilities of County Executive Committee members for finance and function of the county government in respect to public finance, conditions for receiving grants and donation by county government or its entities or third parties. Section 38 of the Constitution 2010, Mr. Speaker, in this section and section 139A, donation means a gift or a contribution. B, grant, Mr. Speaker, means the provision of financial or other assistance by development partners which is not repayable, and 1, where public money is paid to or used by the grant recipient. 2, which is intended to finance the development of projects or delivery of services or otherwise assist the grant recipient to achieve goals that are consistent with the policy objective of the county government. And 3, where the grant recipient is required to act in accordance with any terms or condition specific in a grant agreement. 3C, Mr. Speaker, grant recipient means the county government or a county government entity authorized to control or spend money under this act, or an incorporated body not otherwise authorized to control or spend money under this act. D, intended beneficiaries means the people of the county whom the projects or public services financed by a grant are intended to benefit. E, on a third party, Mr. Speaker, means any other person other than a public officer. 3, Mr. Speaker, a county government or a county government entity may receive a grant or a donation from a development partner with the approval of county executive committee member for finance, and only as provided by this section. 4, as soon as practicable after receiving the grant or donation, the recipient shall notify the county executive committee member for finance, the cabinet secretary of the recipient. Mr. Speaker, on number 5, fund received in the form of grant or donation shall only be spent in accordance with Article 224 of the Constitution. 6, Mr. Speaker, if a project that is being financed by a grant or a donation from a development partner requires county government funding, the project may only be started when A, the required funding has been appropriated in accordance with the Act or in otherwise authorized by legislation, or B, the county executive member for finance has given a written authorization for the project to begin. 7, Mr. Speaker, the county executive committee member for finance shall inform the county assembly of the authorization given under section 6B. 8, Mr. Speaker, the recipient of the grant or donation from a development partner shall record the amount or value of the grant or donation in its books of account. 9, Mr. Speaker, subject to audit in terms of Article 229(4) of the Constitution, the recipient of the grant or donation from the development partner shall administer the account for the grant or donation by using A, financial and accounting practices laid down under an Act of Parliament, rules and regulation. B, administrative, accounting and audit procedures, including financial accounting rules and procedures for accounting for the reception or expenditure of money specified or referred to in any agreement between the recipient and the development partner. County Government Amendment Act of 2020. Mr. Speaker, role of the County Assembly. 1. The County Assembly shall A, vet and approve nominees for appointment to county public offices as may be provided for in this Act or any other law. B, Mr. Speaker, perform the roles set out under Article 185 of the Constitution. C, Mr. Speaker, approve the budget and expenditure of county government in accordance with Article 207 of the Constitution and the legislation contemplated in Article 222 of the Constitution, guided by Articles 201 and 203 of the Constitution. D, Mr. Speaker, approve the borrowing by the county government in accordance with Article 212 of the Constitution. E, approve county development planning and perform any other role as may be set out under the Constitution or legislation. Mr. Speaker, perform any other function as may be stipulated by law. Mr. Speaker, County Assembly's Powers and Privileges Act of 2017, Section 18, on invitation and summoning of witnesses. 1. Mr. Speaker, a county assembly or its committee may invite or summon any person to appear before it for the purposes of giving evidence or providing any information, paper, book, record, or document in possession or under the control of that person. And in this respect, a county assembly and its committees shall have the same powers as the High Court as specified under Article 195 of the Constitution. Section 19, Mr. Speaker, of the same County Assembly Powers and Privileges Act of 2017, where a county assembly or a committee requires that any information be verified or otherwise ascertained by the oral examination of witnesses, the county assembly or the committee may A, cause such witness to be examined on oath, and B, require the witness to provide any document, paper, book, or record in the possession or under the control of the witness which may have a bearing on the subject of the inquiry. Mr. Speaker, Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012, 13 moral and ethical requirements. 1, Mr. Speaker, for purposes of Article 99, 1B and 193, 1B of the Constitution, a person shall observe and maintain the following ethical and moral requirements. A, Mr. Speaker, demonstrate honesty in the conduct of public affairs subject to Public Officers Ethics Act, known 4 of 2 or 3. B, not to engage in activities that amount to abuse of office. C, Mr. Speaker, accurate and honestly represent information to the public. D, not to engage in wrongful conduct in furtherances of personal benefit. E, not misuse public resources. F, Mr. Speaker, not to discriminate against any person except as expressly provided for under the law. G, not falsely falsify any records. Mr. Speaker, on G, not falsify any records. H, Mr. Speaker, not engage in actions which would lead to the state officer's removal from the membership of a professional body in accordance with the law. Mr. Speaker, Public Officers Ethics Act of 2012, Section 9 on professionalism. Public officer shall carry out his duties in a way that maintains public confidence in the integrity of his office. B, Mr. Speaker, treat the public and his fellow public officers with courtesy and respect to the extent appropriate to his office. C, seek to improve the standards of performance and level of professionalism in his organization. D, Mr. Speaker, if a member of a professional body observe the ethical and professional requirements of the body. E, observe official working hours and not be absent without proper authorization or a reasonable cause. F, maintain an appropriate standard of dress and personal hygiene. G, and discharge any professional responsibilities in a professional manner. Kericho County Assembly Standing Orders, Mr. Speaker, Section 2071, except as expressly provided for in these standing orders, no matter shall be referred to a select committee except on a motion approved after notice given. Mr. Speaker, 3.0, adhoc committee methodology and strategy. The adhoc committee on Londiani accident in inception meeting on 2nd August 2023 elected the chair and the vice chair respectively. The committee further resolved, Mr. Speaker, for purposes of record, the adhoc committee on Londiani accident victim in an inception meeting on the 2nd August 2023 elected chair Honorable Moses Rotich and vice chair Honorable Irene Langat respectively. The committee further resolved to conduct investigation into the matters raised in the motion of Honorable Vincent Korir dated 1st August 2023 to use the following methodologies as outlined on the committee work plan. 1, Mr. Speaker, committee meetings. 2, field visits. 3, interviews, hearings and written submissions. 4, data collection through desktop reviews and perusal of secondary data. 5, reporting. 4.0, Mr. Speaker, field visit report on the Londiani accident victim. We had a team, Mr. Speaker, that visited Kericho County Referral Hospital, and a second team, Mr. Speaker, that visited Nakuru Provincial General Hospital. The subcommittee investigating alleged misappropriation of funds raised for the accident victims went on a fact-finding exercise at Kericho County Referral Hospital and Londiani Sub-County Hospital on the 3rd of August 2023. The membership who visited the Kericho County Referral Hospital consisted of 1. Honorable Moses Rotich, Chairperson, myself, Honorable Matthew Korir as the member, Honorable Albert Kipkoech, Honorable Dora Keino, Honorable David Maritim, Honorable Gilbert Ngetich, Honorable Peter Kemoy as members respectively. The committee visited various departments of the hospital accompanied by hospital administrator and the medical superintendent. 1, Mr. Speaker, Kericho County Referral Hospital mortuary, that is the first site we visited. The mortuary attendant informed the committee that there were 2 bodies that arose from 2 deaths that arose from the Londiani accident. Noting that the 2 bodies had been collected by their relatives. It was noted that the mortuary fees were waived. Mercy Chelangat, may her soul rest in peace, and Mercy Chepkoech, both age 22 and 36 respectively, succumbed on the 1st of July 2023, and may their souls rest in eternal peace. Mr. Speaker, we managed to visit for Ward 6, that is the male ward. The committee was involved that 5 patients were admitted due to injuries of the accident. 4 ward ladies and 1 man who had already been discharged at the time of a committee visit. Ward 7, that is the female ward, Mr. Speaker, there were 3 ladies admitted with multiple injuries, where 1 of them required an implant, whereas the 2 other female patients were to undergo surgeries. Mr. Speaker, the 4th site that we visit was the casualty wing at Kericho County Referral Hospital. The doctor in charge, that is Dr. Daisy Tanui, informed the committee members that the casualty wing received a total of 19 patients, where 12 were treated and discharged. Out of the 19, 12 were treated and discharged. 5 were admitted. 2 succumbed while undergoing treatment. The 5th sector we visited, Mr. Speaker, was the social services. The officer in charge of the social services informed the committee that there were 2 patients whose bills had been waived, namely 1, Mr. Speaker, David Mwangi Kitata, whose bill was 68,960. David Kitata, whose bill was 68,960, had been waived. Second patient, Mr. Speaker, was Mary Njeri Nganga, whose bill of Kenya shillings 78,410 had been waived. Mercy Chepkoi Ruto, the deceased, Mr. Speaker, may our soul rest in peace, whose bill of 26,929 had been waived, excluding the mortuary fee of 9,500. B, the second team, Mr. Speaker, we've also visited 2 sites, that was Kericho County Referral Hospital and Londiani Sub-County Hospital in Kipkelion East, Mr. Speaker. This facility was the most hit by the tragedy, since all the victims were first taken for emergency services and confirmation of the dead bodies. Londiani healthcare workers, led by Dr. Collins Kipkoech, made frantic efforts and called for support where necessary. For instances, all ambulances across the county were mobilized for support. 2 ambulances from our neighboring Molo sub-county and 1 from Nakuru Provincial General Hospital, among other utility vehicles, came in to support the accident victims. 2 morticians, 1 from Sigawet and Kapkatet Sub-County Hospital were facilitated to Londiani Sub-County Hospital during the entire period of identification of bodies until all the victims were processed in terms of identification and subsequently buried. The medical superintendent informed the committee members that a total of 78 victims of the accidents were received and documented. 52 died and were processed for burial by the victims' relatives. 49 bodies were at Londiani Sub-County, 2 succumbed at Kericho County Referral Hospital, and 1 passed on at Nakuru Provincial General Hospital. The Londiani Sub-County Hospital conducted autopsy on 49 identified bodies. The accident victims were all booked at Londiani Police Station under OB number 17 of 2023. This exercise took about 5 days. 9 patients were referred to Nakuru Provincial General Hospital, and 19 survivors were referred to Kericho County Referral Hospital for further examination. Review and surgeries were where need be. It was noted that where no admission done for the victims it was noted that there were no admissions done for the victims at the Londiani Sub-County Hospital. The committee was made aware that about 1 million worth of drugs had been delivered to Kericho County Referral Hospital. The medical officer in charge of Londiani informed the committee that the hospital had used fuel of about 100,000 to 200,000, and that all the supplies that were used in the emergency were estimated at 1.5 million. In exclusive of fuel used and the electricity cost incurred, these costs were broken down as follows. Non-pharmaceuticals, 733,390. Mr. Speaker, the pharmaceuticals, that is the drugs, 115,000. Transport, that is 280,000. Electricity, Mr. Speaker, electricity utilized a bill of 405,000, totaling to 1,534,190. The committee, however, was not furnished with a fuel register. Since the local petrol station maintains the fuel register and no records were at the facility, the store's records to demonstrate that that was used during the accident could not be availed. The S11 and S13, which are received and issuance forms, are maintained. The CEC Health Services has requested for reimbursement of the above stated amount. The committee also learned that the facility counseling team had followed up on the victims of these homes. As a result of the intensity of the accident, the committee learned there were body parts still lying at the morgue, awaiting administrative decisions and procedures of body disposal. The Red Cross intervention of availing a cooler for storing body came in handy to support the 16 body capacity morgue in Londiani Sub-County Hospital. Mr. Speaker, the team that visited Nakuru Provincial General Hospital, the following members visited Nakuru Provincial General Hospital: Honorable Irene Langat, the chairperson, vice chairperson; Honorable Cheriot Bate, Honorable Eric B., Honorable Vincent Korir, Honorable Philip Rono, and Honorable Gabriela Chepngeno. The number of patients referred to this facility were 9, 3 females, 6 male. The patients were aged between 14 to 52 years. Most of the patients brought to the facility had head injuries, fractures, and major trauma, Mr. Speaker. That is why they were referred to Nakuru. Mr. Speaker, at the time of the visit, only one patient by the name Sarandale whom we wish a quick recovery, Mr. Speaker, was still undergoing treatment. One patient passed on while undergoing treatment. The total bill accrued at the time of the visit. The total bill accrued at the time of the visit was 366,380, and it has been annexed, Mr. Speaker, to this report. All the accrued medical bills were waived as per Her Excellency Governor Susan Keyika's directive. The committee also learned that 3 other patients sought treatment at Molo Sub-County Hospital, whom one was treated and discharged immediately. Mr. Speaker, on the 5-0 interviews and submission of the Londiani accident, His Excellency Engineer Fred Kirui, Deputy Governor Kericho County, who appeared on the 4th of August 2023 at 10 a.m. His Excellency Engineer Fred submitted on oath that on the fateful day he was called by an anonymous caller informing him of the incident. He called the CEC Health, who informed him that she had already been informed. He then rushed to the scene of the accident. Father stated when he arrived at the scene, bodies were scattered all over and that there were efforts to rescue the survivors. He then rushed to Londiani Sub-County Hospital to check on the victims who had already been taken there. At Londiani Sub-County Hospital, Mr. Speaker, he coordinated with the medical superintendent the referral of some of the patients to Nakuru PGH and Kericho County Referral Hospital. This was done in accordance with the patient's choices and preference. As for those who were not in position to decide on the same, were referred based on the medical superintendent's advice. He further testified that at 9 p.m. in the company of the area MP, Honorable Joseph Chiroro, Kericho County member of Kipkelionist, member of National Assembly, Honorable Patrice Kemei, woman rep, and the county commissioner visited Londiani Sub-County Hospital mortuary. They found bodies lumped together as the facility morgue has a capacity of 16 bodies only. On 1st July 2023, in the company of Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Transport, His Excellency the Governor Kericho County and area MCAs for Londiani and Kedawa Kimugul, Tandeno and Chepseon, Mr. Speaker, they visited Londiani County Hospital and later visited Kericho County Referral Hospital to check on the patients. On the 4th of July 2023, a memorial service and a fundraiser was held at Londiani Stadium. The purpose, Mr. Speaker, and I repeat, the purpose of the fundraiser was to raise funds for the victims of the accident and for the support of the families who lost their loved ones. He gave out his personal contribution of 50,000. The witness further stated that after fundraiser or the memorial service, he went to Londiani Boys, where His Excellency Deputy President Chopper had landed. On inquiry of the Deputy President whereabouts, he was informed that he had gone for lunch at Honorable Cheroro's house. He then proceeded to the venue aboard the Deputy President's chopper. After some days, the witness received a call, letter from a family in Momoniat, village Chepseon ward, inviting him to a funeral fundraising of a victim of Londiani accident. He informed them that the fundraising had earlier been held in Londiani for the said purpose and therefore declined to attend. On the 20th of July 2023, the witness received a letter copied to him by the County Secretary, Dr. Wesley Bauer, dated 19 of June 2023, requesting for facilitation for payments of expenditure incurred in Londiani accident from Londiani fundraiser kitty as per minutes of the committee meeting held on 18 July, and we have annexed that, Mr. Speaker. The witness confirmed to the committee that the following letter accompanying the minutes dated 19 June 2023 was later amended to 19 July 2023, and we have annexed together with the minutes, Mr. Speaker. He read out to the adhoc committee the expenditure incurred as per the minutes of the meeting held on 18 July 2023, whose agenda was preliminaries, identification of beneficiaries, and determination of the level of support. He submitted the following documents. One, that we have annexed as Exhibit 1, Mr. Speaker. We have an Exhibit 2 that we have annexed, Mr. Speaker. We have also annexed Exhibit 3, and a fourth one, Mr. Speaker, that is Bashele Tragedy Hospital Bill that was not part of Londiani accident. We have also exhibited as number 4 exhibit, Mr. Speaker, also the memo from Chief of Staff, number 5, Mr. Speaker, as the exhibit. Number 6, Mr. Speaker, invoice and quotation from Supertrix Entertainment, Mr. Speaker. Number 7, we have exhibit number 7, Mr. Speaker. Number 8, number 9, Mr. Speaker, letter from the Kericho County Commissioner. We have also annexed, Mr. Speaker. Number 10, memo from Chief Officer Lands and Physical Planning to CEC Finance and Economic Planning, reference number 33, dated 13th January 2023, and also we have annexed. When asked on whether he advised the governor on how to handle the monies from the fundraiser, the deputy governor stated that he only performed function as assigned by the governor and was not consulted nor assigned any of such function to this regard. The committee sought to know the steps the deputy governor had taken other than whistleblowing. He informed the committee that he had filed a complaint at the Directorate of Criminal Investigation Office. Further, when asked on what the fundraiser was meant for, he answered that the same was meant to support the victims of Londiani accident. When asked on whether he was a member of the funeral fundraiser committee, he answered that he wasn't. However, he contributed 50,000 and spent additional 50,000 to assist the victims. He informed the committee that he had no idea on where the fundraiser funds was kept. The witness, when asked on the legality of the task force formed by His Excellency the Governor to investigate the alleged misappropriation of Londiani funds, he answered that the said task force lacked legal backing. The witness was asked whether he had any proof of payment to Kericho District Hospital and Londiani Sub-County Hospital. He answered that he did not have any. When asked on whether it was right for the ward administrators to be facilitated using funds from the fundraiser, he answered that the staff were on duty. Therefore, they were supposed to be facilitated by the county government. He further testified that on the eve of the fundraiser, offerings were collected and thus pastors were not supposed to be paid. The witness was asked on whether the fundraiser funds were stolen, misused or misappropriated. He answered that the money was stolen. He further informed the committee that he did not know the account where the funds were deposited. However, he provided copies of the checks given to the victims. The deputy governor, when asked on how he came to know that the funds from the fundraiser was misappropriated, he answered that he deduced from the minutes of funeral fundraiser committee that was copied to him. The witnesses testified that the funeral fundraiser committee was constituted by His Excellency the Governor. He further stated that the fundraiser was a private affair and not a county function. On advice, Mr. Speaker, that he would give to the governor on the fundraiser scandal, he answered that all public officers need to be accountable. He further posed a question to the committee that if officers adversely mentioned in the fundraiser scandal could misappropriate funeral fundraising funds, then what would happen to the public funds? Mr. Speaker, the witness was asked on who would be chairing county disaster committee. The deputy governor informed the committee that he should be the one chairing it. However, the county secretary is the one who chairs it currently. He further informed the committee that people ought to take political responsibility. And the political responsibility ends with His Excellency the Governor. The Deputy Governor informed the committee that the hospital bills waived should have been reimbursed through a supplementary budget and not the fundraiser kitty. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to invite Honorable Albert Kipkoech to continue with the remaining part. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Honorable Albert, proceed.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You be the sergeant at arms ensure that the chairperson is given enough water, and also the Honorable Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, going by the gravity of this matter, Mr. Speaker, allow me to condole with the bereaved families on Londiani accident, and also to wish quick recovery for those ones who are still in hospitals as survivors. So, Mr. Speaker, I will start reading submissions from Dr. Wesley Borg, County Secretary and Head of Public Service, Kericho County. Mr. Speaker, sir, the County Secretary appeared before the ADO Committee on 4th August 2023 at 2:50 p.m. to give account and submissions on what he knows about the Londiani fundraiser kitty. Mr. Speaker, the County Secretary started these oral submissions and tabling of evidence by explaining what his roles are as stipulated in Article 225 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, as arranging business and keeping minutes of the County Executive, conveying the decisions of the County Executive to responsible persons, day-to-day administrative roles, and working closely with the County Public Service Board and Chief Officers for proper human resource management. On the issue of the Londiani accident, the County Secretary informed the committee that he heard of the tragic accident of 30th June 2023 via social media, since he was in Nairobi on an official assignment with His Excellency the Governor. Mr. Speaker, sir, on 3rd of July 2023, the County Secretary wrote to Equity Bank branch manager requesting security and for G4S to transport cash that was supposed to be collected during the fundraising on 4th July 2023. There is an exhibit DWP, one copy of letter to manager Equity. And Mr. Speaker, on the same day, on the same letter, he marked the Chief Officer Finance, CPA Gilbert B, as the contact person for purposes of securing the fundraised kitty. Mr. Speaker, sir, the County Secretary requested Safaricom Limited to generate a bay bill which will be used for collection of the fundraising money from well-wishers. The committee later learned that the bay bill was linked with the Kericho County donation account domiciled at Equity Bank, Kericho. The County Secretary further submitted to the committee that all the paramedics who were involved in the Londiani accident required psychosocial support, and that the county government of Kericho waived all the mock charges and treatment costs. Further, Mr. Speaker stated that the motorbikes that were damaged and business lost will be compensated. Mr. Speaker, the County Secretary conveyed deepest sympathies and condolences to the 53 families who lost their loved ones and confirmed that 24 were injured and receiving treatment in various facilities. At this point, Mr. Speaker, the Head of Public Service confirmed that no money had been lost and that the county is able to account for every coin. Mr. Speaker, sir, the County Secretary further informed the committee that there was phase 1 and phase 2 of the support to Londiani victims, that phase 1 had been effected and phase 2 was yet to be effected. The County Secretary also informed the committee that that day one of the emergency responses were not coordinated and that the affected person lives ought to get dignified support. Mr. Speaker, the County Secretary could not give an account of the patients in terms of actual numbers and requested the committee that the CCM for Health Services would respond on the facts concerning numbers. Mr. Speaker, sir, the County Assembly tabled a bank statement from Equity Bank dated 4th August 2023 detailing the expenditures paid out, including cash received from the Londiani victims pay bill. The minutes of meeting held on 18 July 2023 acknowledged Kenya shilling 29,810 as money from pay bill account, but on further examination, the County Secretary stated that a total of Kenya shilling 935,964 shillings had been collected at 4th July 2023. Mr. Speaker, the total amount of money collected for the Londiani accident victims was Kenya shilling 13,600,000 653,660 plus Kenya shilling 935,964 from the pay bill, which makes a total of Kenya shilling 14,589,624. Mr. Speaker, the County Secretary informed the meeting that Alphonse Rotich, the Chief Officer, Executive Officer of the Governor, Executive Office of the Governor, was the Secretary to the meeting of 18 July 2023 at the Governor's boardroom to deliberate on the disbursement of funds from Londiani Kitty and informed the meeting that there was no closeout of the meeting. Mr. Speaker, the County Secretary informed the committee that they had challenges in identifying the victims, and when put to task on the criteria to disburse Kenya shilling 90,000 to the deceased families and Kenya shilling 60,000 to the survivors, they responded that there wasn't any criteria. The committee learned that only 8 out of 24 survivors were paid Kenya shilling 60,000 each, and that 49 families of the deceased had been compensated. Mr. Speaker, the County Secretary confirmed that the Kericho County Referral Hospital and Londiani Sub-County Hospital have not been paid as per their earlier request of Kenya shilling 2,037,524. That is for Kericho Referral Hospital, and Kenya shilling 1,880,336 respectively, without explaining the reasons. Mr. Speaker, the balances of the Kericho County donation account at the Equity Bank was Kenya shilling 4 million as per the statement dated 4th August 2023. Mr. Speaker, the County Secretary further confirmed that the minutes of 17 and 18 July 2023 were the true deliberations of that day, and when asked on whether the funds from Londiani accident kitty were utilized prudently, he responded as follows: this was the best decision at that time. He also confirmed to the committee that specialized treatment for the patients will be waived. Mr. Speaker, the County Secretary also informed the committee that Juan Fernandez Korir and Leonard Oti withdrew Kenya shilling 423,000 and Kenya shilling 300,000 respectively. The committee posed a clarification question on the payment of the two officers above. He responded, Mr. Speaker, that the reimbursement plan will be done the coming Monday from 7th, which is this week, by the Finance Subcommittee. Mr. Speaker, I further confirm that the donation fund account at the Equity Bank had 3 signatories. One is Fernandez Korir, which is who is Chief Accountant, Leonard Oti, and Dr. Wesley Bor, the County Secretary, replacing the former County Secretary, Joel Bate. Mr. Speaker, sir, the County Secretary further assured the adhoc committee that the disbursement was done after evidence-based engagement was conducted and concluded by thanking the committee for highlighting the issues of Londiani accident fundraiser, and invited the committee to oversight matters on development and reiterated that is equal to fix it and task were called upon to do so. Mr. Speaker, sir, under the submissions of Honorable Leonard Ngetich, CCM Finance and Economic Planning, Mr. Speaker, the CEC informed the committee that he was in Bureti on the fateful day of the accident and learned from the social media. He wished the family's quick recovery. He further confirmed that he was a member of a disbursement committee that sat on 18 July 2023 at the Governor's boardroom. Despite that, there was no appointment letters for the said committee. Mr. Speaker, further, Leonard confirmed that Kenya shilling 13,653,660 was the total amount collected at the Londiani fundraiser, and that pay bill amount as at 4th July 2023 was Kenya shilling 29,810. The same amount was captured to be the pay bill amount balance as at 18th July 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, the CEC Finance further informed the committee that there were 52 fatalities and 24 survivors of the Londiani accident, and that 1 business was destroyed. When the committee interrogated Honorable Leonard Ngetich on the documentation attached to the request from CEC Health of Kenya shilling 2,037,000 and 1.8 million, he responded that the CCM Health Services, after tabling documents, the authenticity and legitimacy will not be questioned. On the issue of why he had not paid the Kericho County Referral Hospital and Londiani Sub-County Hospital, his response was that one of the signatories was not available. He stated that the LTCC request had a figure of Kenya shilling 157,188 explained as a medical bill for a patient of the partial fire strategy, but not supporting documents of the said waiver was provided. Mr. Speaker, the CEC Finance, when put to task on the lunch organized at RIS, he informed the committee that he could not confirm despite seeing photographs and confirmation from Alphonse Rotich, Chief of Executive Office of the Governor. The Speaker, on the question of the pay bill and as to who received the confirmation messages from Safaricom, he alluded that the County Secretary was in charge of the pay bill. The Speaker said the CEC Finance further informed the committee that PSM department had requested for reimbursement of Kenya shilling 423,000 for the purposes of transport, refreshment, and printing. The signatories of the Kericho County donation account at Equity Bank are Leonard Noti and Fernandez Korir, and that G4S were paid Kenya shilling 24,000 for transferring cash from the venue of the fundraising in Londiani to Equity Bank Kericho branch. The committee sought answers as to whether the fundraising money was counted at the venue and the amount that was raised. It was also tasked to explain why payments for the services were made from Londiani Victims Kitty. The CCM Finance, Mr. Speaker, clarified that there were decisions made to approve payment from the Londiani Victims Kitty and that hospital waivers are not budgeted for because of financial constraints. He further informed the committee, Mr. Speaker, that the CEC Health went against the governor's directive on hospital bill waivers. Mr. Speaker, on the question of purpose of the Londiani fundraiser, he stated that the purpose of the Londiani accident kitty was to help the victims and any associated funeral expenses, and that the disbursement committee was constituted by Dr. Wesley Bor, the county secretary and head of public service, through a phone call. Mr. Speaker, when interrogated on the bill submitted by the Kericho County Hospital, Accountant 1 Davis sang on the variance of medical bills stipulated below. The estimate bill, for example, for Kitata was Kenya shilling 172,362 shillings, and the actual bill was 68,000. Mercy, estimate bill 38,879, and then actual bill was 35,000. Merinjeri, one estimate bill 120,000, and then the actual bill 78,410. Mr. Speaker, he responded that the bills were erroneous and the estimates of the accountant. He further clarified that a total of Kenya shilling 300,000 meant for the county commissioner paid through county commander Geoffrey Mayek was handed over to one Alphonse Rotich. On the question of the purpose of the account, he said that donations are allowed such as the Christmas tree contributions, but in the case of Londiani accident fundraiser, the money was erroneously deposited in a county donation account. Mr. Speaker, sir, the CEC Finance and Economic Planning informed the committee that he was not sure of who organized for the fundraising in response to a question of whether the fundraiser was a county function. He further informed the committee that the purpose for fundraising was to offset medical bills and to assist the victims and survivors. Mr. Speaker, the disbursement committee, in their wisdom, thought that the expenses are part of the cost of the Arambe. Mr. Speaker, sir, the CEC Finance confirmed to the committee that the fundraising money was not confirmed by accounting at Londiani. However, one Nancy Labos, an employee of the county government, and 2 officers from national government authority officers counted and confirmed the cash at Equity Bank Kericho branch, and that each official driver delivered the seals and cash boxes and cash box keys to officers awaiting the monies at Equity Bank Kericho. Mr. Speaker, the CEC thanked the committee for inviting him, and that he had learned from Londiani fundraiser and treated an experience, and as a CEC Finance is looking forward to making better decisions in future. Mr. Speaker, I'm also looking at the submissions of Reverend Patrick Cheriot, Roret Worship Center. Reverend Patrick Cheriot appeared before the committee, Mr. Speaker, on 5th August 2023 at 10:30 a.m. to shed light on the role of the clergy in the Londiani accident. Mr. Speaker, Reverend Cheriot informed the committee that the offerings collected on the day of the memorial service was left to the Kipkelian pastors organizing secretary. Mr. Speaker, he further stated that the facilitation of Kenya shilling 100,000 to the pastors was done 3 weeks later after the memorial service, and that the clergy of Kericho had disturbed what was trending on social media. He reiterated that their role was to conduct a memorial service with the timelines of not more than 2 hours. He also stated that the pastors were not members of the committee that dispersed the funds. Mr. Speaker, sir, Reverend Cheriot also stated that they have a bishops and pastors welfare kitty which they use at times. This helps them during, say, times of emergencies. When asked whether the 200 pastors were facilitated, he responded that only 20 pastors were involved in the planning, including approval of expenditures. Hence, the 20 were facilitated. Mr. Speaker, Reverend Cheriot clarified that facilitation was for the few pastors who are given tasks to perform, and that they did not anticipate anything save for the county officials who say that they be facilitated. He further stated that the pastors committee was for the prayer service only and nothing beyond. Mr. Speaker, the witness stated that he was prepared to go to the service and do public duty for free and that he doesn't demand money for his service, as there is no negotiation for services of pastors. He further stated that the message he gave was not expensive, there was no value attached to it, because the Holy Spirit inspires someone according to Colossians chapter 6. The speaker, the witness, stated that the offerings collected at the memorial service in Londiani were meant for peace and prosperity only. That it was unfortunate that we are here. He thanked the pastors who comforted families that lost their loved ones. Reverend Patrick was put to task on the social media reply in Kericho Professionals Forum, and he responded agitated because he did not think professionals could ask such questions. The Speaker, Reverend Patrick, was also requested by the adhoc committee for an advice for the county government and the governor, knowing that victims were still suffering at the hospital. The Speaker, Reverend Patrick, stated that the whole issue was about leadership and not eating per se, that we had a leadership crisis and that the buck stopped at the governor. He further stated that all the money needed to be repaid. He further stated that they need to meet as leaders of the county. The witness questioned how the money left Londiani and asked the honorable members to be the voice of the people, as they are the representatives of the people. The Speaker, I applaud the members to make a petition of a leadership meeting for reconciliation. Reverend Patrick clarified that he received 10,000 on the 25th July 2023 instead of Kenya shilling 100,000. What was given was an appreciation from the members. Though law, everything worked for good. There was an intention by the governor to facilitate the pastors. Therefore, the governor should repay Kenya shilling 100,000 paid to the pastors. Mr. Speaker, the entire organization and planning was by the office of the governor. The monies should be repaid and be taken back to the victims. On the question of misappropriation, Reverend Patrick reacted that money be brought back and be handed over to the victims as it should have been done. Reverend Patrick challenged the committee to know the truth, and the truth will find where the money was. Reverend Cheruyot ended these submissions by encouraging the committee to be bold and courageous in what they do. He further wished and reiterated that the assembly had the mandate to oversight and wished the committee well. Mr. Speaker, sir, submission of Reverend Joyce Tanui, Emmanuel Africa Gospel Church, Kericho. Reverend Joyce Tanui appeared before the adhoc committee on 5th August 2023 at 11:48 a.m. in her capacity as Vice Chairperson of the Pastors Fellowship. She submitted to the committee on how the Londiani issue had been humiliating experience for the pastors because of the mockery on social media. The Speaker, she informed the committee that as they were getting ready to join Kipkelian pastors on Wednesday, the meeting changed to a national one, and that they were involved in the planning for the service and getting a preacher for the day, which they did as executive of the Pastors Fellowship. The Speaker, she further stated that she attended a meeting in the county boardroom. Almost leaders were present. The meeting spilled off at afternoon, after which I took a team of pastors from Londiani and other people to inspect the ground with regards to the positioning of the pulpit. The Speaker, our task was also to get a worship team, and for ease of coordination, I summoned my worship team and instructed them to prepare by loading the equipment for the service, which included keyboard, drum set, bass amplifier, and extra microphones as donations towards the memorial service. Mr. Speaker, sir, Joyce also submitted that regarding disbursement of checks to beneficiaries, I was requested by the county officials to join the team that were dispersing the checks at Londiani Town Social Hall, which I gladly did and led a service. The Chief of Sir Betsy called to inform me she had a token of appreciation for the pastors, and by then I was in the hospital. She brought the money to the hospital. I distributed the money to the worship team and pastors who participated in 3 days. She further stated that suddenly the issues were on social media. The focus was on Reverend Cheruyot. Humiliation is an understatement here. She took the opportunity to exonerate Reverend Cheruyot from any wrongdoing, since she would also like to share the blame. The Speaker, after the fundraising, they were informed that there was lunch at Ray's Hotel, but they delayed. By the time they arrived at Ray's Hotel, the lunch was over, and so she bought lunch for her team from her pocket and received it. Mr. Speaker, as to the question of the expectation from conducting a service, the response was that there were no expectations on anything on such events. There are some events, even national ones, and they are given some token, but often they don't ask. Reverend Choice confirmed indeed she received Kenya shilling 100,000 from COPETSI, meant for 18 pastors, 15 worship team members, paid sparingly, ranging from Kenya shilling 10,000, 5,000, and even 500. The Speaker, when asked on whether she was aware that some victims were still hospitalized and had not received anything despite their family status, she stated that she led a group of pastors to pray for the road from Brook, Jepsir, and back to Kericho because of His Excellency the President's visit. She apologized for not visiting the victims who are still hospitalized, and that common sense will dictate that they are followed up. Reverend Joyce was invited by Chief of Staff Edgar Towet to plan for memorial service with other leaders. Mr. Speaker, when asked on whether what had transpired as the aftermath of Londiani accident was a forgivable sin, Reverend Joyce responded as follows: that mali ya umma inauma, while she didn't know the logic that the disbursement committee used to disburse the money, she thought the expenditure should have been charged from somewhere else and not from the fundraiser kitty. She further stated that perhaps the committee thought to disburse the money like the normal Arambe. With regard to forgiveness of the sin of that magnitude, she responded that there is restitution in the Bible as the case of Sachus, the tax collector. Restitution is a theological term meaning giving back all that you have taken, and maybe with additional tokens, interest, and that blasphemy to the Holy Spirit was the only sin that was unforgivable. The committee also sought to know if Reverend Joyce's advice was sought on the disbursement of checks. She clarified that she only attended the fundraising planning meeting and not the disbursement committee meeting. The clergy attended to pray for the victims. As a speaker, the committee acknowledged Reverend Joyce for being reachable all the time and asked God to bless her for what she was doing. Reverend Joyce confirmed to the committee that Honorable Joseph Cherorota attended the meeting for the issuance of checks among other leaders, sat through someone and requested to leave for other engagements. As a speaker, Reverend Joyce informed the committee that after funerals, fundraising normally, the family decides what the money will be spent for. Listening to leaders, the money was supposed to assist the affected families. The payment of Kenya shilling 100,000 to Reverend Joyce was a decision of Chief Officer PSM. Yes, no request was put forth for the money. Mr. Speaker, Reverend Joyce concluded by reiterating that the church was committed to serving the community and that the clergy forgives the young people for the name calling. The church was willing to offer psychosocial support and thanked the committee for the invitation and engagements. Mr. Speaker, submissions of Director Reyes Hotel, Ms. Rael Yegon. The director and the manager Reyes Hotel appeared before the adhoc committee to clarify on the luncheon that was held at the facility after the Londiani accident fundraising on 4th July 2023. The director informed that committee that Reyes Hotel can hold up to 1,000 people since they have a field where weddings are held. She further informed the committee that one Alphonse Rotich was on site to check on the food and seating arrangements, and there was enough food. As a speaker, the director Reyes Hotel informed the adhoc committee that for hotel accountability purposes, attendance is gauged by the number of plates utilized, hence did not keep attendance sheet. The director informed the committee that the Reyes Hotel is not pre-qualified with the county government of Kericho and that they welcome any client so long as the mode of payment is agreed upon. As a speaker, sir, the director Reyes stated that they received an order for 350 packs by Alphonse, but was reduced to 100 packs. We had an verbal agreement with Alphonse, who is an agent of the governor. Alphonse Rotich is known by Reyes. The director informed the committee that she had no contract with the county government. She further stated that Reyes Hotel issued ETR receipt and that she did not have the withholding tax receipt. She stated that she should not ascertain the people who are supposed to be served and that the county should account for that. Mr. Speaker, the director Reyes informed the committee that the 350 packs tent was cancelled, hence could not have been used at Reyes, and neither was the hotel having any attendance sheets to prove that 100 packs took lunch. She stated that the B-line tent, 50-seater tent, VIP, plastic chairs, rectangle tables, red carpet, decorations, flowers were set up in the morning by Supershine Events, but it was not utilized. As a speaker, the director father also said that at Reyes, Makuti and other seating arrangements for the guests was provided, and the ultimate issue was for people not to be rained on. Reyes procured an additional tent. As a speaker, the director Reyes stated that the tents erected by the Supershine event planners were not utilized and that the seating arrangements to host high-profile guests takes time to erect, considering matters of certain standards such as security. Mr. Speaker, the director raised informed the adhoc committee that she was sorry to hear that much of the money went to expenditure and hope that victims were still getting supported. The incident was a wake-up call and maybe limited time factor will have caused confusion. She sympathized with the situation and stated that the proper channels needed to be used, especially on issues pertaining the public, be handled in a better way. Mr. Speaker, submissions of mwenyekiti wa bodaboda Kipkelion East walioshiriki katika mahojiano ni pamoja na Sami Bet, Kipkelion East Stephen Cheruyot, Chairman Londiani, na Sami Bet akitanguliza maelezo. Na hapa pole zangu wale familia ambao bado wameathirika. Ilikuwa tarehe 30 nikaongea na katibu wangu akinielezea yalikuwa yametokea. Akinieleza kweli kuwa mambo mabaya yametokea. Katibu kanijulisha kweli kuna watu wamefariki, lakini idadi hatukujua. Wale watu wa bodaboda hawakulala wakisaidiana. Hata baadaye walisaidia wale waliokuwa wakitoa damu. Mr. Speaker, hatuna majeruhi bali kuna bodaboda ziliharibika. Nilipojaribu kuuliza nikaambiwa zilikuwa 3 ambazo wenyewe walikuwa wamechukua police abstract na kuandikisha taarifa. Tuligundua kuna moja ilichukuliwa nyumbani. Zile bodaboda zilijulikana ni 3 tu. Nikaongea na Mheshimiwa Cheruyot, alikuwa akijua ni 3. Mr. Speaker, those are the submissions from Chairman Bodaboda, and he continued saying that tunasema pole kwa wale bado wako hospitali, wana biashara na wenye kufiwa, tunasema pole. Nilikuwa pale, kulikuwa na mlipuko uliowatawanya wengi. Tukasaidiana na askari kwa kupeana usaidizi wa dharura. Wale waadhiriwa hawajapata pesa, hawajafaidika kwa chochote. Pikipiki 3 iko stesheni kwa polisi, ya 4 ni ya mama aliyekuwa akijisimamia. Hizo pikipiki ziko stesheni ya Londiani, na moja ambayo ilikuwa ya loan imerejeshwa na kampuni hiyo, ya 4 iko nyumbani. Mwenye pikipiki moja ilirejeshwa aliagana na kampuni ya Watu Credit, iliahidi watapeana pikipiki moja. Waliofiwa walipata shilingi 1090 kutoka kwa kaunti yetu ya Kericho. Kama sekta ya bodaboda tulipoteza watu 2 Londiani Ward. Nilienda kwa maziko ya wale watu 2. Pesa za bodaboda haikulipwa wakati wa kurejeshwa kwa pesa. Mheshimiwa Cheruyot alithibitisha kwamba kulikuwa na pikipiki 3, bodaboda 150cc ambayo ni 167,000, 100cc 130,000 mpaka 140,000. Bodaboda 3 haijalipwa. Deputy Governor alipotangaza ya kwamba boda 3 imelipwa, nikaitwa mbele kudhibitisha. County Secretary akiwa kwa mazishi moja kaniita kaniuliza kwa nini naingia kwa vita. Kaniambia tulikuwa tunapanga kununua boda na sio kupatiana pesa. Those are still submission from the chairman, Mr. Speaker. He still continues that hata baada ya kutoa police abstract, majina 4 ilipelekwa kwa ofisi ya CDF. Ulalamishi wetu tulikuwa unataka kujulikana kwa hali ya dharura. Nilipopata ile orodha nikachukua kwa Mheshimiwa Koret, lakini na wasamee kwa sababu au kuuzishwa, ndiposa tukaamua kupeleka kwa CDF. Tulipoongea kuulizia waheshimiwa, ndiposa tukachukua kwa mbunge Cheruyot. Tunashukuru waheshimiwa kwa kutujali. Boda ilizombwa na container. Tunashukuru Mungu kwa uhai wa Collins na tunataka aokoke. Collins alisema kwamba anaomba apewe pesa aanze biashara kwa sababu mambo ambayo alijionea siku hiyo ni ngumu sana. Chairman na baadhi ya wadhiriwa walikuwa wakipanga kufanya maandamano. Mheshimiwa Cheruyot alikuwa anaenda Londiani Girls, nikaenda kupatana naye. That is submission from Chairman Bodaboda from Londiani. And here now, Mr. Speaker, allow me to read submission from Dr. Jafet Cheruyot, Chief Officer Health Services. The Speaker, Dr. Cheruyot's submissions appeared before the adhoc committee on Monday, 7th August 2023, to give an account of the Londiani accident as Chief Officer in charge of Health Services. He stated by thanking the honorable members for the invitation and informed the committee that on 30th June 2023, he was attending a meeting on the UHC in Kisumu. Upon receiving a call from Honorable Benda Bill concerning the Londiani accident, he pulled over his car and started activating the emergency services by making calls for the ambulances to be availed. The emergency response, according to the CEO, Health Services, was enormous. That included ambulances from Bomet, Nakuru, and Kapkatet, and the situation was managed, and relatives of the affected persons were assisted. Mr. Speaker, some of our staff have been placed on medication for depression and have not recovered since because of their involvement in the emergency operations. The CEO assured the committee that all medical fees and mock charges were waived and nobody paid any single cent. Mr. Speaker, sir, what Dr. Japheth Cheruiyot also said is about 77 patients passed through Londiani Hospital, most of whom were pronounced dead on arrival. 9 patients were referred to Nakuru, and those referrals were based on patients' request. The total bill waived was Kenya shilling 282,219 for patients, mock fee of 38,500 from KCR, Kericho County Referral Hospital, including postmortem. And for the case of Londiani Hospital, there was no waiver for outpatient services. The mock charges waived Kenya shilling 850,850 shillings. At Londiani, including postmortem, were all waived. Mr. Speaker, all 77 patients treated at Londiani, including bodies, the doctor decided for a few patients who could not make decisions. Londiani was a horrific scene, about 100 medics and paramedics. All the ambulances were escorted by the border to assist. We could not count for what was taking place. The chief officer explained how the emergency health care workers did a very good job, and that all the patients who needed initial surgeries were done, including the surgical treatment. Mr. Speaker, sir, 19 patients referred to Kericho County Referral Hospital, and 3 who went to Molo could have been self-referrals alluded by the Red Cross. Mr. Speaker, the emergency care was top-notch, thereby incurring huge costs, especially on non-pharmaceutical. For instance, Mr. Speaker, the cost of Kericho County Referral Hospital for emergency response was Kenya shilling 1,841,000 for all items in card. Mr. Speaker, the 19 patients referred to Kericho County Referral Hospital were at casualty all night and discharged the following morning, save for 7 who were admitted. 2 passed on, later 3 still admitted, and 2 have since been discharged. The CEO Health, Mr. Speaker, was asked to give an account of the varying cost of medical care at KCRH in light of the donation from KEMSA. The CEO responded by saying that the documents from Davis Sang Hospital accountant cannot be confirmed. The KCRH received supplies from KEMSA worth Kenya shilling 1,862,000, most of which were antibiotics used by doctors to treat other conditions. KEMSA order was mostly pharmaceutical, received 2 days later. The Speaker, sir, KEMSA supplies came as a result of the request by the Cabinet Secretary for Health for supplies for the Londiani victims, and that most of the KEMSA support are pharmaceuticals, which are drugs, list of consumables, and non-farms, worth 1.2 million. Mr. Speaker, the CEO informed the committee that he was not an AIE holder of any facility, and that the AIE holder is the medical superintendent. Through the guidance of the health management team, the medical superintendent can even make a request to CEC and does day-to-day running of the facility. Mr. Speaker, sir, my role is to receive the reports of facilities, and medical superintendents sometimes make requests to finance directly because they are autonomous. Every patient is different with regards to responses to medication, and that it is not possible to have all drugs under the sun. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Japheth continues to say, because of the budgetary constraints, by budget of about Kenya shilling requires Kenya shilling 500,000. The CEO Health Services stated that it's not entirely wrong for patients to buy a drug, for instance, in cases of stubborn infections and drugs not stocked at our facility. The CEO confirmed that there are 3 patients and 2 might be ready for implants. The surgeon is optimistic that the patients are ready for implants. The procurement process for implants started immediately. Mr. Speaker, when asked to comment on the Londiani Arambe, he distanced himself with the fundraising for Londiani, and that they have been requesting the funds and probably reimbursed by the authority is the the CEC Health Services, and I did not know where the CEC for Health Services requested the funds from. The experience about the accident relates to the one that happened some years back at Kipelian, Moroni Road, where we refunded from the emergency kitty. Mr. Speaker, sir, the CEO informed the committee that one patient discharged was supposed to get an implant. However, from surgeon's report, is that the patient has recovered and may not need an implant. He reiterated that the department did not have a budget for implants. The Speaker, Public Service Ethics Act on Values and Principles on Accountability states that every officer must account for his administrative deeds. I got to learn of a medical bill circulating in the social media, and upon inquiry from the medical superintendent, I was given a report on the document. The medical superintendent request for funds from CEC or marks it to me. This request is a document from the accountant, but on further inquiry, Mr. Speaker, the medical superintendent was told to prepare the claim by the CEC Health. The medical superintendent wrote to the accountant to separate the bills from the actuals as by instructions of the CEC Health Services. The hospitals have been empowered through an act of the county assembly, and that his role is to obtain reports at the end of each month. I didn't append my signature to any of the documents. Mr. Speaker, CEO, when asked on the performance of KCRH versus Nakuru Provincial General Hospital, the CEO responded that it is impossible to correlate the number of patients and the bill. It depends on the treatment. Nakuru Provincial General Hospital is level 5, while Kericho County Referral Hospital is a level 4, and it's not comparable. Mr. Speaker, the emergency kitty takes time to be paid, hence the CEC Health requested the funds for Kericho County Referral Hospital, and Londiani may be from the Londiani fundraiser kitty. We refund the waivers ordinarily through commodities. Mr. Speaker, most of the bills for Kericho went up because of the emergency services for the treated 50 patients and their dependents who are coming to identify the victims. Required first aid services and could not be recorded in any emergency situations. Supplies, consumables could not be controlled. Other supplies may have been picked. Mr. Speaker, submissions of Honorable Brenda Bill, CEC Health Services. It was on 30th June 2023 at around 7 p.m. when I was called by the governor, after which I called the CEO and medical superintendent informing them of the Londiani accident so that we activate the emergency response team. Preliminary report stated that about 100 people had died. The CEO and medical superintendent initiated the mitigation. Cleared the theaters, went to Kericho County Referral at around 7:30 p.m. It was raining so heavily and patients started streaming in at 7:30 p.m. Many people streamed to facility because of curiosity. I was in Kericho up to 10 p.m. Then proceeded to Londiani. Mr. Speaker, the accident scene was horrific, and by 11 p.m. we had confirmed about 47 deaths. The impact of the accident was huge, hence many people streamed in to check on their loved ones. Mr. Speaker, our Londiani Sub-County Hospital MOC has a capacity of 16, and by that time we had 47 bodies. The identification of bodies started the following day, on 1st of August 2023. By 8 a.m. the following day, we were at the Londiani to welcome the guests of the governor from the national government. The guests also came to Kericho. The identification of the body started at the first and the second day, including sorting. Mr. Speaker, the identification of bodies took 5 days, from the 1st to 6th July 2023. Mr. Speaker, on the 4th July 2023, it was the fundraiser day, and concerning the minutes of disaster committee on the governor's boardroom, I was invited through phone call from the county secretary on 18 July 2023. It was agreed on the meeting the county referral hospital Kenya shilling 2 million and Londiani Hospital Kenya shilling 1.54 million be paid respectively. The CEC claimed that she did not receive a copy of the minutes of the meeting of 18 July 2023. Prior to the meeting, she received a request letter on 14th July 2023 from the medical superintendent of Kericho County Referral Hospital on the reimbursement of the cost of commodities utilized during the Londiani accident. Mr. Speaker, the CEC also received a request letter showing the cost of commodities utilized during the Londiani accident from the medical superintendent, Londiani Sub-County Hospital, dated 14th July 2023. I acted on the two letters from the two hospitals by noting the request and did not take an action until the 17th July 2023. I took both the request and table in the disaster committee meeting held on 18 July 2023. The kind of commodities utilized at the casualty made impossible to account for the consumables. As the night progresses, the registrations of the patients commenced. The commodities utilized for the 19 patients, but many used it, especially services provided at Londiani Hospital. The bill of Kenya shilling 1.5 million was spent because the consumables were huge. The Speaker, Londiani Hospital did not have the capacity to admit, hence referred to Kericho County Referral Hospital and Nakuru Provisional General Hospital. The Speaker, the CEC Health informed the committee that she took it upon herself to examine post-Londiani in the aftermath of the tragedy, and my major concern was the operationalization of the hospital. On the 18th July 2023 meeting, my impression of the meeting was that it was not over. I requested the medical superintendent to justify the requests, which the accountant did by tabulating the bills of all the patients plus consumables. Mr. Speaker, sir, casualty bill and the processed bill for the patients treated and discharged. The entire amount was distributed among patients, which this is illegal and anomaly and violation of patients' confidentiality. Mr. Speaker, when taken through the minutes, she confirmed that the following mentioned members were not present in the meeting. These are Rosemary Rock, Honorable Judith Chirchir, Honorable Daniel Rock were not present in the meeting. When asked on the advice of the department regarding the urgency of the refunds, she stated that she did know who prepared the list of people who benefited. Mr. Speaker, the donation from KEMSA came in on 2nd July 2023, which was medication mostly. There is this insinuation to say that figures were cooked. I cannot be misguided on the operations of the health. Mr. Speaker, sir, we cannot run away from the supplies, and the patients were not supposed to pay, and the accident was massive. Raw data was on consumables. We stand with our consumables used. Our bills are much lower than Nakuru, and it is not fair to compare Nakuru BGH with Kericho County Referral Hospital. The budgets alone separate the two. Mr. Speaker, the County Secretary, Dr. S. Lebor, informed me, now, Mr. Speaker, is CEC Health, of Kenya shilling 157,188 was used as compensation for one Laura Mutahi medical bill for victim of Parshele fire strategy. The Speaker, the CCM confirmed that she had requested the medical superintendent to prepare the consumables, which were wrongly captured. On the question of the NHIF data, the CCM for Health promised to furnish the committee with a report. When asked about the checks for KCR, ACRH, and Londiani Sub-County Hospital, she denied to have never seen such checks, though the check was collected on 31st July 2023 by the medical superintendent of Londiani Sub-County Hospital. Mr. Speaker, the CCM for Health informed the committee that he did not plan on how to steal or misappropriate the money, and that they complied with His Excellency the Governor's orders on the waivers. I stand guided by His House on what I was supposed to do. The meeting lacked knowledge on what they were supposed to use to support the hospital. The Speaker, what next for us was the issue in the hospital because of the expenditures. So far, in view of what has happened in Londiani, we made a request to the meeting for consumables, worth Kenya shilling 1,000 for purchase of implants. I have requested for 3 patients. I have requests for the 3 patients still hospitalized at Kericho County Referral Hospital. The Speaker, sir, we thank His Excellency on his figure for his administration. I cannot self-judge. Londiani Sub-County Hospital is level 4 on paper, and Kericho County Referral Hospital is licensed as level 5, but yet to be determined by the county government. I did not follow up as to the number of survivors. Mr. Speaker, the CEC Health Services concluded by thanking the committee and healthcare workers, and that she stood guided by this adhoc committee. We may not have been right. The Speaker, sir, CEC and CEO ICT, E-Government, Youth Affairs, Gender and Sports, came in at 14:55 p.m. The CCM, Honorable Daniel Ropp, and the CEO, Kimiano Geoffrey Bett, appeared before the committee at 14:55 p.m. on 7th August 2023. Honorable Daniel Ropp, the CCM, ICT, Government, Youth Affairs, Gender and Sports, informed the committee that he was not in that meeting, and neither did he pray in the meeting. Exhibit ER1. He further informed the committee that when he saw the minutes in the social media, he went to the county secretary office to inquire because he had not been invited. The county secretary informed him that he will explain. The CEO ICT informed the committee that he received a call on 3rd July 2023 from the county secretary, and that my department was tasked with printing of the program. That he received the phone call from CCM ICT on Monday at 3 p.m. He delegated some responsibility to the technical team in conjunction, which included printing digital passports and names of the victims. I confirmed to this committee that the Department of ICT did not incur any cost in regards to Londiani accident victims fundraiser. The department did not incur any cost for printing the program. Mr. Speaker, submissions for County Transport Officer Rono Shatrak, Transport Officer Public Service Management, appeared before the adhoc committee on 7th August 2023 at 15:15 hours and informed the committee that one Kikwa is the head of PSM Transport, only issuance of work tickets. On Fridays, he acknowledged the available vehicles as 35 CG015A, 35 CG035A, that is Chief Officer, KAV 211, ADM, and then PSM. Then there is KBJ 779, that is for PSM. Then there is also 35 CG040A, fire engine for PSM. Then there is also KBW 798, fire engine. Mr. Speaker, on Friday, Rono Shadrach fueled the vehicles with the authority of the Chief Officer. I was home, received a call from administrator informing me about the Londiani accident. I maintained work ticket for PSM vehicles, and on this fateful day, the 30th June 2023, I topped up 780 liters, worth Kenya shilling 132,000. When asked of their relationship with other transport officers of other departments, he responded that they keep their work tickets and detail orders for all the departments, and that they monitor work tickets and fuel detail orders. The person in charge of the work tickets detail order register. Mr. Speaker, CEC in charge of Public Service Management, Honorable Edna Tanui, our submissions is that they meet. First, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Edna Tanui, the immediate former LCC, appeared before the committee on 7th August 2023 and started her submissions by condoling with bereaved families and stated that she was out of the country, Tanzania, on the fateful day of the accident. On the 3rd July 2023, she attended a leaders meeting at the governor's boardroom to plan for fundraiser, which was successful. On 17th of August 2023, I was called at around 9 p.m. and was told me to extend the invite to honorable members for Chipseon and Honorable Vincent Korir. I relayed the message to Honorable Vincent at 10 a.m. on 18 July 2023. I worked on something on my laptop until 10:15 when I left home. On my way from home, Honorable Vincent also called to confirm. On my way, the vehicle broke down, which I had to get another car. When I arrived, the meeting was over when Honorable Cherorot was leaving. This was a meeting and not a committee. We hope to have an invite in terms of reference if it was a committee. I found the meeting over once. However, did not put my input to the meeting. Honorable Judith, Honorable Rosemary, Honorable Daniel Drop were also missing in the meeting. That is not the true picture of the minutes. Did you sign the attendance register of the meeting? I did not sign anywhere in that meeting. So the people are writing on their notebooks that no one briefed me on what has transpired in the meeting. I did submit any requests because the chief officer was present to represent the department, PSM. Mr. Speaker, the CCM informed the adhoc committee that there were 2 requests put forth to the Department of Finance by COPSM, is the accounting officer from the sub-county and from disaster management team. The request is done to the Department of Finance, not targeting the finances from the fundraising. The Speaker, a widower by the name David Koske had been promised Kenya shilling 100,000 by the governor, which was handed over to him on 27th July 2023, including disaster management officers, who are given 133,000, cleaning of fields and facilitation of the ward, and sub-county administrators of Kenya shilling 90,000. The Speaker, sir, the CCM for PSM further informed the adhoc committee that the meeting of 18 July 2023 was first and final one, and warned that maybe there was supposed to be another meeting. She said that the Department of PSM always makes requests on the issues of disaster. For instance, the team that went to rescue at Parshele are still waiting for them, for the team that went to rescue at Parshele are still waiting for payments. That the widower David Koske had been promised to be supported by His Excellency the Governor. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Edna Tanui thanked the committee for giving her time to exonerate herself, especially for touching what belongs to the Londiani accident victims. She further requested the adhoc committee to seek for forgiveness from the people of Kericho for making wrong decisions. She reiterated that it is good to do good, do fairness, and let justice prevail for everyone. The Speaker, that was submissions from CEC PSM. CEC CEO. Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. Our technical team, please work on our sound. Proceed when ready. Honorable Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, submissions from Chief Officer Lands, Housing and Physical Planning, Petty Chebet, Acting CEO PSM and CEO Lands, Physical Planning, Housing and Settlements appeared before the adhoc committee on the 7th August 2023 to make her submissions. She informed the committee that she was called in later and that she joined the meeting at the tail end of the meeting to expedite the resolutions of the meeting. The chief officers are not supposed to attend the meetings of the CCM. Honorable Edna Tanui came in after me, and that this was not a cabinet meeting. Mr. Speaker, when asked whether she was invited to the meeting or was attending on behalf of someone else, Betsy responded that she was given a call by the county secretary at around 10 a.m. to work on the resolutions of the said meeting of 18 July 2023. After the deliberations had already been done, Mr. Alphonse Rotich, the chief officer in the executive office of the governor, was present. The Speaker, she informed the committee that Mr. David Koske, a widower, was the most affected Londiani accident victim with 7 school-going children, benefited with Kenya shilling 100,000, brother to Reverend Wilson Cheriro, and that the widower had planned to rear the slip. The Disaster Management Committee for 7 days of 15 PSM officers, most of whom are drawn from the fire department, responded to Londiani victims. Mr. Speaker, the PSM department honor extraneous allowance during the emergency period, considering the effort they put in place. As I was working on the request, I could not verify where the money came from on the different set of documents submitted to the department and CCM Finance and Economic as follows. Mr. Speaker, Betsy Chebet clarified that earlier documents were revoked. Betsy was asked who the staff were or members who visited the families were. They, the sub-county or ward administrators to offer psychosocial support, and as to whether she received the money meant for the psychosocial support, her response was that she has not received Kenya shilling 90,000 for that purpose, and that the money is somewhere in the cash office. The CEO PSM, Mr. Speaker, informed the adhoc committee that she sat in a meeting at the governor's boardroom for less than 10 minutes. Since I sat in a meeting, I knew the time that the CCM PSM came in. The CEO PSM informed the committee that she received cash of Kenya shilling 393,000 from the cash office, and that she did not receive Kenya shilling 90,000. Mr. Speaker, sir, the submissions of CEO Betsy, she continued saying that the issue of facilitations fee of Kenya shilling 100,000, she informed the committee that she called Reverend Joyce Tanui, and having known that she was at the hospital, she requested her to take the money to where she was, and that she could not verify the beneficiaries who benefited from the Kenya shilling 100,000 pastor's facilitation fee. The Speaker of the facilitation of staff lunches, COPSM informed the committee that lunch allowances varied from 1,750 to 500, and referred the committee to the meeting of 18 July 2023 that approved the expenditure from the Londiani accident victims kitty. Betsy Jebet thanked the committee for inviting her and reiterated that she only received tranches of monies from a finance cash office as follows: 100,000, first 100,000 shillings, the second 100,000 shillings, and the Kenya shilling 133,000, and that shilling 90,000 had not been disbursed. The Speaker, John Were Odiambo, Director, Supertrix Company Limited. This is his submissions. The Director, Supertrix, began his submissions by acknowledging that Supertrix Company Limited and Supershine are competitor companies and have no relationship. He further informed the committee that they did not have any contract with the county government of Kericho, nor an award letter to undertake the task of event planning and provisions of chairs, and tents, and that Supertrix is not pre-qualified as a supplier by the county government of Kericho, despite being active in the system and without a contract. The Speaker, John Mack, also said that he was called by Alphonse regarding supply of tents to a function where head of state will be in attendance. The Speaker, sir, as an event planner, I don't give a quote. I first waited for the State Department protocol leader and other leaders, including local leaders and heads of protocols. Once leaders took off, by look of the leader, I inquired who was to pay me, and Alphonse Rotich confirmed the county will pay for his services. The Speaker, I was straightforward. If it was not an immediate payment, I would not have taken up the job because I was avoiding the IFMIS job. Send us the quotation and proceed to the job. I was under over the job nature and professionalism could not allow me to give us a job. The area MP wake up someone to prepare us dinner since it was raining heavily. He worked hard to provide the standards that required by the state. As I was doing all that, then I kept on pressing for the payment. The director informed the committee that by virtue of initiation, the function was a county one, and he did not know it was a fundraising. He only knew it was a memorial service for the accident victims. After the event, my payment did not materialize. I was told to submit an invoice, which I did. Our quotation is the system-generated quotation, so no exemption from tax. Willie Chirichiri requested me to submit the ATR, which I did on 21st July 2023 at 10:10 a demonstration that we do pay VAT. The director informed the meeting that Supertrix received Kenya shilling 2,945,000 on the 21st July 2023. As stated in the bank statement, and requested the committee to safeguard the bank statement and invoices from getting into the social media. On the question of the invoice addressed to the county government of Kenya, the director, Kericho, county government of Kericho, sorry. The director Supertrix informed the committee that he was instructed by Edgar Towet to address to the county government of Kericho, and Edgar Towet directed that the invoice be addressed to the county government of Kericho, and the CEO Finance called me to provide bank details. The witness informed the committee that he was the sole proprietor and that he didn't change the conversation because they said they will be paid immediately. We managed with pressure, just like the emergency, comfortable memorial. I did the job out of commitment by erecting a 30 by 70 meters tent. It's raised by 50 people, so the people from Londiani benefited, and I considered how much I spent on that day. When asked about the 7 out of 24 survivors who have been paid from the Londiani fundraiser kitty, his response was that it's two sides of the coin. Supertrix Events Company delivering the service has done that previously for us. It is business as usual. However, he indicated that he didn't put his target on fundraiser money. The director Supertrix, John Mack, narrated how in 1990 his dad died mysteriously and that he understood the Londiani situation. And via the social media persons, he clarified that he didn't eat the money. He wished someone could have stood for him at that time when he had lost his dad. The director informed the committee that Alphonse, Edgar, and Dr. Bor, I made it clear that I cannot do that business now through IFMIS because I didn't want to do any job. I took an overdraft from the bank. Once I'm paid, I will pay other people as well. The Speaker, John Mack, informed the committee that all his events set up are live streamed and on record. And at that time, they were live during the Londiani event with a number of youths, and that they didn't sleep. He further stated that Supertrix staff are traumatized and do not want to be seen in events anymore. I've been imprisoned in my own pleasure and I didn't do any wrong. I expected the area MP and area MCA to say thank you. I confirmed that Kenya shilling 2,945,000 was for the job done. I want to challenge the young people if there is something to do. Get out and do the job. I'm proud to be interrogated. That is Supertrix Director, Mr. Speaker, John Mack. The Speaker, Supershine Director, Felix Ngetich, and the company also appeared, and this is their submissions. That the directors of Supershine stated their submissions by confirming that they had the bank statement, payment voucher, and invoice for work, and services rendered to the county government of Kericho at Ray's Hotel on the 4th of July 2023. Mr. Speaker, the Director, Supershine Limited, informed the committee that the manager Ray's Hotel referred them to CEO Alphonse Rotich, whom we met on 3rd July 2023. We got this job through reference from Ray's manager. We met face-to-face with Alphonse at Ray's, where we were called to install a tent for a state function. We got the reference at 7 p.m. Then we embarked on the work and did it overnight. When asked about cancellation, he responded that he was not aware about any cancellation. We installed a 350-seater tent capacity. We got cancellation at around 10 a.m. We had done all the preparation. Cancellation started from manager Ray's. Then Alphonse confirmed through telephone conversation. Mr. Speaker, sir, immediately after verbal cancellation, the capacity was reduced to 100 pack. When the setup was completed on the material day, it became difficult to cancel. The Speaker said the directors of Supershine informed that the method of procurement was verbal, maybe like direct procurement, and that they delivered the invoice to the office of the governor for payment. Mr. Speaker, the Supershine got paid through a check of Kenya shilling 411,000. Check number 0109. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee was informed that the tent set up at Ray's by Supershine comprised of 150 VVIP, 200 VIP, and a 50-seater tent for the Ray's was used by Ray's. The invoice for Supershine was signed by Michael Adola Okot as the sole signatory. When we got this job, we did not know the function was connected to the Londiani Accident Memorial Service. Once given an opportunity, we market ourselves. On the case of job cancellation, he said that as a company, they have rules on the time frame of cancellation, and by 6 a.m. the tent was erected, which erected vehicle on the standby mode. Once we were informed about the cancellation, we stayed put since we had delivered the work. Mr. Speaker, sir, submissions of Dr. Leonard Oti, one of the signatories. Dr. Leonard Oti appeared before the adhoc committee on 8th August 2023 to give account on his participation of disbursement of funds for Londiani accident victims. I work as a cooperative officer at the county government of Kericho, taking care of all cooperative society. He explained to the committee that there are 3 signatories, Joel Bet, Fernandez Corir, and Leonard Oti. The donation account was opened before November 2014, meant for Kericho County Investment Conference for the donors to support CEC. The withdrawal of funds in this donation account is by way of minutes of meeting authorizing the payment for that specific purpose. For example, the Governor Christmas tree, supporting the less fortunate people, and others. There will be a committee set up until a withdrawal is done. The Speaker, sir, when asked on the day the money was banked, he told the committee that he didn't know. I was later told that the donation money for Londiani had been banked in the donation account. On the day I was asked to sign the check by Fernandez, and the committee that authorized the withdrawal of funds for this case was chaired by the county secretary. The cashier should be providing supportive documents before withdrawal of the money is effected as supporting documents for payment. With regards to the membership of the committee, he said he is not a member of the committee authorizing the payment. The withdrawal of the funds must be minuted. The problem is that I do not have minutes for Wells Fargo check of Kenya shilling 24,000, and that he had the minutes for the withdrawal of Kenya shilling 100,000. Mr. Speaker, sir, Dr. Leonard Oti also said that the disbursement committee approved the following expenditures of Kenya shilling 300,000 for damaged motorbikes. Mr. Speaker, sir, on 20th July 2023, I signed 2 checks, one to Kericho District Hospital and one to Equity Bank Manager of Kenya shilling 1.8 and 1.5 million respectively. He questioned on the check that was plain and later addressed to the Equity Bank Manager. He was told that it was okay. Dr. Leonard Oti further informed the committee that he did not do due diligence as he signed the checks before he saw the minutes, especially for Wells Fargo. Mr. Speaker, sir, a specific role in the operations of this account is that I become a signatory because of the CEC conference. On the issue of the supporting documentations, Dr. Oti blamed the originators of the checks because of the insufficient supporting documents. Mr. Speaker, sir, Fernandez Corir, who is the chief accountant, CPA Fernandez Korir is the chief accountant of the county government of Kericho. In his submissions, he said that the incident that happened in Londiani shocked everyone, him included. Our fundraiser was planned to assist the victims, presided over by His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. I also made my contribution. After money was raised, I did not have a trail of the money. I later learned that the money was deposited in our county donation account. The Kericho County donation account was opened in the year 2014 by the county government for a trade exhibition. He stated that the person in charge of the cash office is Willie Chirchir, and requested by CEO PSM of Kenya shilling 423,000 was availed, confirmed, and handed over to the CEO PSM as per procedures. When Fernandez was questioned on the transactions of Kenya shilling 300,000 using the supportive documents for meals, he stated the contact person between county and the national government in this matter was the office of the county secretary. On the issue of check number 0108 in favor of Kericho County Referral Hospital and Londiani Sub-County Hospital, there are minutes shared to approve the expenditures, and our role is to facilitate. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of drawing a check in favor of the bank manager, Equity Bank, RTGS, is a document originating from the bank, and occasionally we draw the checks alongside RTGS. Mr. Speaker, sir, a question to whether it's not possible for a government account to have one signatory. The checks were signed by Fernandez Korir and Leonard Oti. I was asked to facilitate the payment of fuel and meals of Kenya shilling 300,000 for the county commissioners. The law that covers donation accounts, Section 138 of PFM Act, gives guidelines on what ought to have been done. We had Kenya shilling 14 million in our donation account. I will still make reference to the committee. The head of county treasurer was aware I had not accessed the account, hence could not know the balance. Mr. Speaker, Fernandez put to task on the responses to the committee that he had no trail of how the money streamed into the donation, and that despite having transacted on the Londiani accident pay bill account, he was not aware or requested for the pay bill. When the adhoc committee inquired if the number of fatalities, he responded that there was a total of 52 fatalities as per the minutes of the committee, and that his role came in at the tail end of the process. He further told the committee that just like the bursary funds, is a signatory, but he does not participate in the process of vetting and approvals of beneficiaries, and that he did not have authority to question or deny the decisions approved, and that he had been on leave. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reason why the checks did not go through was because of the pay details and the amount being above 1 million. There was an RTGS, but the Equity Bank manager advised our accountant Chirchir that check was supposed to be used alongside the RTGS for the cost of county health facility, which is Kericho County Referral Hospital and Londiani Sub-County Hospital. The motorbikes amounted to Kenya shilling 300,000, withdrawn by Dr. Oti, and from the minutes, the motorbikes will not cost 200,000, hence 600,000. Could cost 200,000 and 600,000. On the PFM Act, on the compliance regarding grant from development partners, gift and contribution, Article 224 of the county of the Constitution of Kenya speaks to the appropriation by the county assembly. The law requires that when the county needs to co-fund a written authorization from CEC Finance is required. Fernandez thanked the adhoc committee for the opportunity accorded to shed more lights regarding the Londiani accident. Submissions of CEC Judith Chirchir, Education, Culture, Libraries and Social Services. On foot, there was a fundraiser and I made a contribution. In regards to the meeting of the 18th of July 2023, I learned of the minutes in the social media. I was not appointed and neither was I invited to the said meeting. I was not in the said meeting. Honorable Judith informed the committee that she did not attend the meeting of 28th July 2023 and neither was she invited. Exhibit JC1 copy, that is a sworn affidavit. So, Mr. Speaker, submission of Rosemary Roth, CCM, Water, Energy, Environment, Forestry and Natural Resources. The chair drew the attention of the witness to the meeting of 18th of July and 20th July 2023 at the governor's boardroom. She responded that she could neither recall nor heard of such meetings. She further stated that the only meeting she was aware of was the one to prepare for the President's visit on 19 July 2023. She concluded that the people who were in the meeting and the drawers of the minutes may have made an error by including a name in the minutes. Davis Sang, KC Kericho County Referral Hospital, accountant. CPA Sang Davis, CPA holder, having worked as an accountant for 5 years at a hospital setting. On 17 July 2023, I was requested by our medical superintendent, who had requested through Waziri for support of the hospital, which was not an actual bill per patient. It was forwarded on a basis for reimbursement through status of the patient's bills and expenditures. On 18 July 2023, he shared a corrected expenditure projection with medical superintendent, but unfortunately, he was in the theater and thus was required to submit it to CEC Health Services. The Speaker, the accountant informed the ad hoc committee that he was instructed to review the bill upwards from Kenya shilling 600,000 to Kenya shilling 1,880,336, a figure that was used by the CCM for health services to request for funds from the Londiani accident victims. The Speaker, submissions of Alphonse Rotich, CEO Executive Office of the Governor. Alphonse informed the committee that he did not know where the Londiani fundraiser money was banked, and he did not know where the money was to date. He said, Mr. Speaker, that he knew about the accident and the fundraising. Further, that he was aware of the meeting of 18 July 2023 held at the Governor's boardroom. He further confirmed the members present in the meeting of the 18th July at the Governor's boardroom as Mr. Wakesa Simiyu, an Assistant County Commissioner, and that the following members listed below were not present in the meeting. That is Honorable Rosemary Rob, Honorable Judith Chirchir, and Honorable Daniel Rob. When the committee inquired as to why they included those that were not present in the meeting, such as the person whom he indicated that he prayed and answered that he could not remember adding such a person. On 3rd July 2023, he received a letter from Edgar Towet requesting for supply of items to be used at the county government functions at Londiani, and he approved the request, which he marked to CEO Finance for consideration under emergency fund. The Speaker, Alphonse, continues to say that after consultations, the CEO to the Executive Office of the Governor approved the payment to host a county function using the Londiani accident victims kitty. The Speaker informed the committee that sometimes he is a messenger and an accounting officer at the same time, and that he was sent physically by the county secretary to raise hotel. The Super Tricks and Super Shine companies were engaged by my boss, the county secretary. The Speaker, Sir Alphonse, continues to say that regarding payment vouchers, he informed the committee that he did not sign any voucher as he was not an AIE holder of the Office of the Governor, and that he did not have an LSO since he used direct procurement. He further informed the committee that there was no such a meeting on 20th July 2023, despite minutes showing the distribution of checks and an item on change of signatories for the donation account at Equity Bank. The county secretary informed the committee that the CEO Executive Office of the Governor is holding the money, whereas Fernandez clarified that the money was being held by one Willie Chirchir. He further told the committee that Gideon Mutai, the county attorney, advised on the compensation through an East African court to award the victims since fundraising money was not for compensation, and that the driver of the ill-fated lorry hailed from Rwanda. When asked of his role as an experienced person and accountability, he told the committee that the position of an advisor can be very tricky since advices are options to policy directions. In the meeting of the 18th July 2023 at the Governor's boardroom, it was agreed after deliberations that people listed in the schedule be paid. The minutes were being typed elsewhere, not to my office, hence could not detect the errors. So the Londiani incident was regrettable. Mr. Speaker, submission of Gilbert Kipkuri B, CEO Finance. Gilbert appeared before the committee on 8 August 2023 at 6:32 p.m. He informed the committee that the money was deposited at a donation account as one of the county government accounts, that the operations of a donation account is guided by Section 138 of the PFM Act 2012. He elaborated further explained to the committee the procedure for payments to be made from the donation account. He stated that the process is guided by Section 47 and 48 of the PFM Act. that it should start from requisition from the department in need, backed by approvals by the relevant body or committee. He clarified that Kenya shilling 2,945,000 was raised from the Office of the County Secretary to Finance. On 3rd July 2023, the County Secretary requested the G4S Courier services to ferry the fundraising consignment from Londiani fundraiser from Londiani to Equity Bank, Kericho branch. However, the committee established that the courier contacted and paid a ferry. The cash consignment was the Wells Fargo. On that night, he fell sick on 3rd July 2023, and that Wells Fargo are ready with the seals. Passed by the bank and picked the seals from the bank. He gave the seals to Waziri for finance. Waziri brought the broken seals. He stated that he assumed that Waziri locked the cash box containing Kenya shilling 13,653,660 collected at the fundraising, and gave the seals adhocs to a staff who delivered to CPA Nancy, an accountant who confirmed the money at Equity Bank. Mr. Speaker, the committee sat and made a distribution in attendance of the head of County Treasury. The lead person was the CEO Office of the Governor, Mr. Alphonse Rotich. The CEO of Finance also informed the committee that the donation account is subject to audit by the Office of the Auditor General, and that the national government donated 20 million. The public and well-wishers donated 14.5 million. Mr. Speaker, sir, the user department makes a request, and that there is no specific committee that approves. The finance department is a facilitative department. He confirmed to the committee that the emergency fund asked Kenya shilling 15 million for the financial year 2023-2024. He further told the committee that whoever delivered the request for payments as agreed in the minutes dated 18 July 2023 to his desk was Mr. Alphonse Rotich. The chief officer noted that, however, Alphonse Rotich on cross-examination under oath denied the minutes of the 20th July 2023. It was unfair for him to disown the documents he brought to CPA Fernandez Courier for payments. He stated that he had a conversation on phone with Alphonse and advised that emergency funds are under the guidance of the Emergency Fund Act of 2014. He further stated that the funds being in a donation account, the procedure was different from the payment of IFMIS. Ordinarily, KRA taxes and other exemptions are done directly. The Speaker said the CEO of Finance confirmed that Supertrix Limited was not pre-qualified by the county government of Kericho, and hence did not have a running framework contract in the current financial year. Because of the emotional nature of the incident, Safaricom could have remitted the funds to the donation account. The actual amount of money at the cash office was Kenya shilling 690,000. The Speaker, the deceased were getting 90,000 and survivors victims got 60,000. The committee could not establish the criteria used in dispersing the said funds meant by the victims. The CEO further informed the committee that Kericho County Emergency Funds Act only applies within 72 hours of an occurrence of an emergency. Mr. Speaker, sir, the CEO of Finance closed his remarks and felt sorry to the victims of the Londiani accident. Submissions of Edgar Towet, Chief of Staff. Mr. Edgar Towet started his submissions by clarifying the functions of the Chief of Staff as maintained. Mr. Edgar Towet started his submissions by clarifying the functions of the Chief of Staff as maintaining confidentiality, scheduling meetings, managing the itinerary, managing logistics, county secretary, logistics of county secretary, provide leadership and professionalism. On 3rd of July, there was a meeting attended by leaders and agreement made concerning the memorial service and fundraising. To clarify that they did not attend the meetings of the 18th and 20th July 2023, I did my work, which involved requisitioning of funds to the Office of the Chief Officer Finance, could not dictate where the funds were to be withdrawn. Mr. Speaker, submissions of Willie Chirchir, accountant, he stated that his role was to write checks and facilitate payment. The process of payment starts from requisition and preparation of payment voucher, then the payment voucher to be approved by relevant personnel. He did not know how all this was treated because they were not consulted. COPSM Petsy took Kenya shilling 423,000 and signed it at the cash office. Mr. Chirchir informed the committee that one Joyce Mutai, Kipkelion County Administrator, returned Kenya shilling 90,000 saying that she had been given the money by Betsy Chebet, CEO PSM. The committee could not establish the motive for returning the money to Finance Office. The Speaker Chirchir confirmed to the committee that Betsy Chebet, CEO PSM, did not return the money herself, and he further confirmed that the money in his custody was Kenya shilling 600,000, meant for Boda Boda, and Kenya shilling 90,000 returned by Joyce Mutai, the Kipkelion East Sub-County Administrator. Mr. Speaker, as a custodian, he confirmed the receipts and the payment of Kenya shilling 423,000 from Fernandez Korir and handed over to Betsy Chebet. CEO PSM, Fernandez Korir further withdrawn with due Kenya shilling 300,000, which was handed over to Alphonse Rotich, CEO Office of the Governor. Additionally, total of Kenya shilling 400,000 was withdrawn by Dr. Leonard Oti and handed over to Betsy, CEO PSM. Mrs. Betsy Chebet receiving a total of Kenya shilling 823,000, but refunded back to the cash office Kenya shilling 300,000, and thus a balance of Kenya shilling 433,000 was misappropriated in this single instance. The Speaker Chirchir received cash from Betsy, CEO PSM, Kenya shilling 300,000 on 24th July 2023, Kenya shilling 300,000 from Mr. Alphonse Rotich on 24th July 2023, and received a further Kenya shilling 90,000 from Joyce Mutai, Kipkelion East Sub-County Administrator on 31st of July 2023. Mr. Chirchir further informed the committee the Kenya shilling 300,000 county commissioners and Kenya shilling 300,000 Boda Boda was for Boda Boda as per the minutes of 28th July 2023. Chirchir was grateful to have been invited to say nothing but the truth and wish the victims quick recovery. He also informed the committee that he does pastoral work, that he was happy that he managed to come and clear the hair. Mr. Speaker, under the challenges faced by the ADO committee, the ADO committee on Londiani accident faced the following challenges in the execution of its mandate. And the first one is that the committee had a limited time of 7 days to deliver on the mandate that was of county importance. Number two, it became difficult to access information from some key institutions such as Safaricom Limited, Equity Bank Limited, Wells Fargo, G4S, and the county commissioner, the assistant county commissioner, and the traffic commandant, Kipkelion East. Mr. Speaker, number three is conflicting records, information provided to the committee from the different witnesses, ends at certain instances. The committee could not ascertain the authenticity of key records relied upon to disperse the money from the Londiani accident victims' kitty. Mr. Speaker, there was also bureaucracies and protocols in the invitation of national government and the private sector witnesses who adversely mentioned during the cross-examination made it difficult to corroborate information and use as evidence. Mr. Speaker, the fifth one is that the gravity of the matter of the Londiani accident victims and public interest and voiced concerns of the victims, coupled with competing political interests, threaten the justice for the victims. Mr. Speaker, the last challenge is that the clergy, through Reverend Joyce Tanui, refunded Kenya shilling 100,000, being the amount paid as pastor's facilitation fee, through M-Pesa, through the theological principal restitution. Mr. Speaker, can allow me to now call upon Chairman to continue from there till he concludes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Albert Fetch. The Honorable Chairperson, Dr. Moses, proceed as you finalize on your report.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I wish to read on the responses to terms of reference for the Londiani accident ADO committee. After intense cross-examinations, observation, and submissions from the various witnesses, the ADO committee wishes to respond to the terms of references as follows. 1. The exact number of people who had passed on as a result of the Londiani accident and mock charges by the deceased persons. The number of people who succumbed in the Londiani accident was 52. Out of the 49 were processed at Londiani Sub-County Hospital, 2 at Kericho County Referral Hospital, and 1 at Nakuru Provincial General Hospital. The total mock charges for 49 bodies at Londiani Sub-County Hospital is Kenya shillings 850,850. The 2 bodies at Kericho County Referral Hospital was 38,500, and the mock fee for a person who passed on at the Nakuru PGH was Kenya shillings 31,350, including treatment. On the terms of reference number 2, Mr. Speaker, the exact number of casualties as a result of the Londiani accident and the cost incurred per patient. The total number of casualties was 77 as per the submission from the CEC Health Services and Medical Superintendent from Londiani Sub-County Hospital. However, there were 50 relatives of the victims that were attended to and discharged at Londiani Sub-County Hospital. A number of relatives also streamed to Kericho County Referral Hospital in search of their loved ones and were also attended, but an exact number could not be ascertained because there were no records at the casualty. Mr. Speaker, the total number of money raised at the fundraiser for the Londiani accident victims, after careful examination of the documents, provided to the committee a total of 14,589,624 from Londiani cash of Kenya shillings 13,653,660, and a pay bill of 935,964 from the pay bill number 80,62001 with the account name titled Londiani Accident Victim Support. Mr. Speaker, the figure of cash collected was confirmed at Equity Bank, Kericho branch. The committee noted that the cash was not confirmed at source and no explanation was given as to why this was not done. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, on reference, the amount to be waived by the county government of Kericho for the health services rendered to the said victims, both casualties and deceased. Mr. Speaker, the total amount of money waived by the Kericho County Referral Hospital was 224,699. Comprising of a medical bill for 4 patients of 186,199 and a mock fee of 13,500 and a postmortem fee of 25,000 for the deceased patients at Kericho County Referral Hospital, and Londiani Sub-County Hospital waived mock charges of 850,850, and that of Nakuru PGH waived a total of 366,380. The total bill waived by the Kericho County Referral Hospital for the casualties amounted to Kenya shillings 282,219. The mock fee waived both for Kericho County Referral Hospital and Londiani Sub-County Hospital was 889,350. The committee also notes that 3 patients are still admitted at Kericho County Referral Hospital with a medical bill amounting to Kenya shillings 198,224, which the committee anticipates that it shall be waived by the Kericho County Referral Hospital. Report on breakdown of how the funds raised was dispersed to the casualties and families of the deceased, including their places of residence. The ad hoc committee found out that 48 families have received Kenya shillings 90,000, tantamount to 4,320,000, and 8 survivors had been compensated according to the record furnished to the committee, amounting to 480,000. This makes a total of 4,800,000 amount dispersed to casualties and to families of the deceased. 4,800,000. However, the committee established that a total of 14,589,624 was collected and dispersed as follows. But the disaster committee spent from the kitty as follows: Kericho District Hospital 2,037,524, Londiani Hospital 1,534,190, Super Trick tents at Londiani Stadium 2,945,000, Super Shine Limited tents at Race for 11,000, Race Hotel lunch for 100,000, PSM Department, Transport, Refreshment and Printing, 423,000. County Commissioner, Fuel and Meal Allowance for the team, 300,000. Affected person fatalities, that was 90,000 times 53, amounting to 4,770,000. Affected persons, Mr. Speaker, the survivors was taking 60,000 times a total of 12, amounting to 720. Damaged motorbikes, Mr. Speaker, were taking a consolidated of 300,000. Total earmarked expenditure of Kenya shillings 13,540,714. Bank balance was 112,946. A total of 13,653,660 was declared by County Secretary, despite that the statement that dated 4th of August 2023 showing bank balances of Kenya shillings 4,617,939. Mr. Speaker, in spite of unclear criteria in the disbursement of victim funds, the committee presents the following proposal using the same ratios, and the total amount raised of Kenya shillings 14,589,624 as of our baseline. Cost of motorbikes 300,000. 2. Affected person fatalities 164,880. That is the amount they were supposed to be getting. Affected person, the survivors, were supposed to be getting 238,160. Composition of the committee, if any, formed for the utilization and distribution of the said funds and terms of reference for the said committee. The other committee in its deliberation observed that there was no controversy regarding the membership of the committee formed for the utilization of the funds. The submission from the members who attended the meeting revealed that the meeting was sanctioned through a phone call by the county secretary, with the membership of 9 county government and 1 national government officer and 1 member of parliament. Then the chairperson of the said committee was the county secretary, and the secretary was the county chief officer in charge of executive office of the governor, reference next. 3 senior county government officials stated as members have since disowned the said meetings through sworn affidavits. These are Honorable Rosemary Rob, that is CEC, Water, Energy, Environment, Forestry and Natural Resources. Honorable Judy Chirchir, CECM, Education, Culture, Libraries and Social Services. Honorable Daniel Rob, CECM, Information, Communication, E-Government and Youth Affairs, and Gender and Sports. How many vehicles were used for facilitation to support the victims, the departments they were drawn from, and the fuel cost used per vehicle? Mr. Speaker, during the emergency operation following the Londiani accident on the 30th June 2023, the total number of vehicles used were as follows. That is the 30th June 2023. GKB 134 consumed 15 liters of diesel fuel. GK 633Y, the county government vehicle 77A, and then 35 CO 079A 50 liters, KCA 006W 20 liters. On 1st of July, Mr. Speaker, KCA 006W consumed 30 liters, GKB 633Y consumed 20 liters, generator consumed a total of 160 liters. On the 2nd of July, KCA 006W consumed 20 liters. On the 3rd of July 2023, the vehicle 35 county government 080A 10 liters, GKB 633Y 50 liters, number 079A, Mr. Speaker, consumed 30 liters, and 080A, Mr. Speaker, consumed 20 liters. On the 6th of July, Mr. Speaker, 633Y, that is GKB, consumed 40 liters, 35 CG 080A consumed 10 liters, that was on 6th of July. 35 CG 079A 50 liters, that is was on 6th of July. Summary of fuel per vehicle and cost per vehicle, Mr. Speaker. 080A consumed 20 liters at a rate of 167.99, 3,359. 633Y consumed a total of 130 liters, Mr. Speaker. That is at a rate of 167, 21,000. 077, Mr. Speaker, 50 liters, 8,399. 079A, 130 liters, Mr. Speaker, a cost of 21,838.70. 06 WKCA, Mr. Speaker, 70 liters, 11,759.30. Red Cross, Mr. Speaker, that is 160 liters at the rate of 167, consumed 26,879. GK B1 134B, Mr. Speaker, consumed 15 liters. Total liters 575. Total cash, Mr. Speaker, that was 96,594.25. Mr. Speaker, what properties were destroyed during the incident? On our answering on the terms of reference of the committee had for moral submission that 1 business and 3 motorbikes were damaged. The committee, however, could not establish how much was compensated and what properties were destroyed because of lack of non-disclosure of information by Kericho East Traffic Commandant, whose role was to corroborate information on the properties destroyed, except for Kenya shilling 300 set aside to purchase 3 damaged motorbikes. Report on the breakdown of the utilization of said fund for activities other than the compensation to the casualties and the families of the deceased. Expenditure other than compensation to the casualties. Mr. Speaker, Kericho County Referral Hospital got a total of 2,037,524. Londiani Hospital, sub-county, that is 1,534,190. Supertrix, Mr. Speaker, tents at Londiani got 2,945,000. Super Shine, Mr. Speaker, a total of 411,000. Race Hotel for lunch, I think I had indicated this, Mr. Speaker, PSM 423. County Commissioner, fuel and meal allowances, damaged motor vehicle, then total expenditure was 8,050,714. A total 13,653,660 was declared by the county secretary, and the Equity Bank statement dated 4th of August showed bank balance of 4,617,639. Specific ad hoc committee of observation, Mr. Speaker. There was, Mr. Speaker, there was forgery of minutes. The county secretary acknowledged minutes dated 18th of July 2023 to be true. However, on cross-examination of various witnesses, the committee established that the minutes were a forgery, as some of the members listed in the minutes saw affidavits, exhibit and annexed to this report to confirm that they never attended the said meeting. From the witnesses' testimonies, the committee deduced that the county secretary colluded with the secretary of the committee to forge minutes. Further, the various correspondences submitted at conflicting dates. This amounts to violation of Article 10 and 232 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Section 13 of Leadership, Section 13 of Leadership and Integrity Act, Section 9 of Public Ethics Act of 2012, and Section 273 3FG of the County Assembly's Powers and Privileges of 2017. Approval of withdrawal of funds contrary to the provisions of Section 138 of Public Finance and Management Act. The County Secretary confirmed to the committee that he chaired a meeting that approved withdrawal of money from the fundraiser kitty that had been deposited in the donation account, and subsequently signed withdrawal checks. This is a violation of provision of Public Finance Management Act, which requires any fund in donation account to be spent in accordance with Article 224 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Oversaw misappropriation of funds. From his testimony, witnesses, testimonies and evidence submitted, it is evident that the county secretary oversaw the misappropriation of funds raised in Londiani that was meant for accident victims. The fundraiser money was used to pay for services that were not intended, as for paying tents and allowances for staffs of the county while taking emergency services. There is also an abuse of office. From the witness submission and his evidence on oath, the committee established that the county secretary exercised his powers contrary to the provision of law by exceeding his authority. He acted arbitrarily by overseeing allocation and withdrawal of money raised in Londiani fundraiser, an action that is outside his mandate under Section 44 of the County Government Act. Chief Officer, Executive Office of the Governor, Alphonse Rotich. Mr. Speaker, the committee found that there was forgery. The Chief Officer of the Office of the Governor was the Secretary of the committee meetings held on the 18th and on the 20th of July 2023. The Secretary of the committee is the one who writes the minutes. 5 witnesses testified that Alphonse was the Secretary of the committee. On cross-examination of the 3 witnesses, it was established by the committee that the 3 witnesses never attended the meeting held on 18th and the 20th July, yet they are listed in the minutes as attendees. Daniel Rope was listed as one who opened the meeting through a prayer. The 3 witnesses swore affidavits to that effect. This establishes that the minutes were forged. On cross-examination of the chief officer, he confirmed that he was the secretary of the committee. This amounts to violation of section 347, 349 of the Penal Code of 2012 and the Article 10 and 232 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, abuse of office. The committee established that the chief officer, by issuing verbal direct procurement to 2 companies, to wit, Supertrix and Supershine, without adhering to provisions of Section 103 and 104 of Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act and Section 45 2B of Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. There was also violation of procurement rules and procedures. The chief officer sourced for provision of tents and catering services at Ray's Hotel, where this is the sole mandate of procurement department. The director of Ray's Hotel, Supertrix and Supershine Events testified that they were called by the chief officer, office of the governor, to provide various services during the Londiani fundraiser. CEC in charge of health services, Brenda Bale B. There's also the abuse of office. The CEC in her sworn submission stated that she took it upon herself to examine post-Londiani in the aftermath of the accident and requested for reimbursement of the consumables used during the emergency of the Londiani accident, and went ahead to instruct the MedSoup to cost the pharmaceuticals and non-pharmaceuticals utilized during the accident. This is contrary to the governor's directive on waiver of all hospital bills. This amount to abuse of office. Mr. Speaker, sir, there was non-disclosure of information and accountability. The committee established that the CEC in charge of health failed to disclose the donation amounting to 1.86289 from KEMSA. This is a violation of Article 10 and 232 of the Constitution of Kenya. Oversaw misappropriation of fundraiser funds. Mr. Speaker, the committee established that the CEC was a member of the committee that planned and authorized the expenditure of the Londiani fundraiser funds. Priority was given to other expenditures than to assisting the victims, yet the nature of incident was majorly a Department of Health issue. exhibits annexed. The committee further established from the exhibits and witnesses' statement that Kericho County Referral Hospital accountant that the Kericho County Referral Hospital bill was reviewed upwards from 600,000 to 1,880,336 on the directive of the MEDSO. The CEC therefore failed in their duties by failing to ascertain whether the bills from Kericho County Referral Hospital and Londiani Sub-County Hospital were the accurate bills as compared to expenditure. The committee further noted that 157,188 was included in Kericho County Referral Hospital. On interrogation with the Speaker, on interrogation of the CEC, she indicated that the amount was meant together for bill incurred by partially fire victim. The committee established that the fire victims' bills were catered for by NHIF. These actions amounts to violation of Article 10 and 232 and Section 45 2B of Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. Acting Officer PSM Betsy Chebet Kirui. There was, Mr. Speaker, there was non-disclosure of information and accountability from her. The committee established that the chief officer failed to disclose to the committee the actual amount that she received from the cashier, Willie Chirchir. She testified that she received 423,000, but the committee established that she received 823,000. Exhibit annexed. This is a violation of Article 10 and 232 of the Constitution. The committee also found the budgery. The chief officer lied on oath that she received 423,000, which she later returned Kenya shillings 90 to the cash office. However, the committee established that she received a total of 823,000. The chief officer committed the offense of budgery as stipulated under Section 27G of the County Assembly's Powers and Privilege Act of 2017. There was also the misuse of fundraiser funds. According to the minutes of the Londiani Disaster Committee dated 18 July 2023, the witness testimony, the Department of PSM was allocated for 23,000, which amount the chief officer acknowledged received. This amount was meant for transport, refreshments, and printing. The chief officer in charge of ICT testified that they did all the printing for the fundraiser function at zero cost. The committee could not ascertain where the amount meant for printing was utilized. Further, the committee established that the chief officer, who is the accounting officer of the department, paid out Kenya shillings 100,000 to a widower out of the fundraiser kitty, yet the same was a pledge made by the governor. Thus, that amount ought to have been paid by the governor himself. This, contrary to the provisions of Article 10 and 232 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and is an offense under Section 45B of Ethics, Corruption and Economic Crime. There was also, Mr. Speaker, the misappropriation of fundraiser funds. The chief officer allocated Kenya shillings 90,000 out of 423,000 that was received from the fundraiser kitty towards psychosocial support of the county disaster management staff. This amount to misappropriation of the said funds, as the aim of the fundraiser kitty was to support Londiani victims and not county staffs who were doing their official duties. There was also, Mr. Speaker, abuse of office. The committee established that the chief officer committed the offense of the abuse of office by misappropriating fundraiser funds meant for Londiani victims and also by giving false information under oath. This is a violation of Article 10 and 232 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and Section 27G of the County Assembly's Powers and Privileges Act. Mr. Speaker, on CEC Finance and Economic Planning, Honorable Leonard Ngatich, there was a violation of the provisions of Section 138 of Public Finance Management Act. The CEC in charge of finance and economic planning violated this provision by authorizing the withdrawal of funds from the county donation account that was meant for assisting Londiani victims. The Act provides that the funds in a donation account should be administered as per the provision of Article 224 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. There was also, Mr. Speaker, the abuse of office. The CEC failed in his mandate as maid of the county treasury by authorizing payments for services from Londiani fundraiser kitty with procurement of tents and lunches at Ray's Hotel. This was contrary to the purpose and the intent of the fundraiser, and subsequently the funds raised their own. Further, the CEC authorized a reimbursement of alleged waiver of hospital bills, contrary to Governor's directive on waiver of all hospital bills. The CEC also failed to ensure that the procurement laws were adhered to in procuring catering and tent services. The committee noted that the CEC was not able to answer questions of financial issues of the county, yet he is the head of a county treasury and the chief advisor to the county government on matters finance. Mr. Speaker, there was also the non-disclosure of information, transparency and accountability. The CEC in charge of finance and economic planning failed to disclose to the county assembly receipt of donation to the Kericho County Donation Fund as stipulated under Article part of the purpose of the fund. The witness produces checks in proof of the same. This is a violation of provisions of Article 10 and 232 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and Section 138 of Public Finance and Management Act. There was also a committee noted that the chief officer made payments to suppliers without documentation, contrary to the provisions of the law. He wrote checks to Supershine and Supertrix Limited. The committee further noted that he made payments for services and items from the donation account, which should have been paid from the emergency fund account. There was also violation of procurement rules. Mr. Speaker, the committee noted with concern that some of the suppliers that the chief officer paid were not pre-qualified as provided for under the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act and Public Finance Management Act. The chief officer failed to withhold the statutory 2% withholding tax from the supplier, contrary to the provision of income